Guys, we have so much incoming. So much. Trump is going live. You know,
the UK account.
We're gonna see Donald Trump's speech. So much nice stuff going on, to be honest, today. It's really looking good. Let me open here.
Ripple has been making more moves, looking like a bank of tomorrow. Ripple.
So let's talk about Ripple again. And we have a very important discussion today as well, is that XRP, we have been waiting this for some time. We have been waiting for XRP to basically dominate the whole world, right? And every single day, we're getting one step closer. And this is happening right now. You know, XRP every single day has slightly more utility to handle 90% of transactions. Ripple cannot settle 90% of global transactions until its liquidity matures. Liquidity will mature at 500 per XRP. It's priced to be high as 500 before full utility kicks in. With full utility, ODL, XRP will need to be 1,000, 10,000 to move liquidity mature utility will demand. It doesn't need to have the full 90% of global transaction, even if it has, you know, for example, 20. It definitely shows that XRP can reach, you know, what, $20, even if it can handle like 5% of global transactions and then slowly move up to 90%.
And XRP are destined for greatness here. We're starting to see market participants starting to figure out Ripple has had a plan all along. Ripple is connected globally to 90% of the X market, which means they can settle to 90% of most global payments right now. This is going to be an incredible journey. I'm glad you're on this journey with us. Let's go into this information from Digital Asset Investor. We're also going to explore Ripple's new position here with Bullish. We're going to go over what that was about and why that's important. We also have some new information from the federal government here about the ISO migration is complete. What could it mean for Ripple and XRP going forward? Let's start here.
And I think Ripple is on the forefront of that. I mean, look at what they're doing for Gemini's IPO. Yeah, I think they're giving them a $75 million credit facility.
So yeah, Gemini giving them $75 million just confirms that XRP is here to stay, even on the worst bull or bear markets. We also have the Trump speech today, which is happening live. Smash that like button, guys. I will keep you guys updated on that.
Is that correct? Did you guys see that story?
Yep, that's correct.
Well, Ripple announced this morning, 51 minutes ago, congratulations to Bullish on their successful IPO. And they arranged, Bullish did a partnership with Ripple, evidently, to where they've arranged for $1.15 billion of dollars of the IPO proceeds to be paid to them in Ripple's stablecoin. So, you know, the fact that Ripple's out there doing this should not be surprising. They now have a stablecoin.
Welcome to the stream, Nico. And also, the most important factor here we have is that, you know, Trump making a speech about the rate cuts today that Jerome Powell has hinted, which I will stream live right now as soon as we get onto them. This is very bullish news. Like, Ripple literally has so much money. It is getting a new partnership every single day, guys.
They're soon to have a banking license, I would assume. They own a large exchange in Hidden Road. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the fabric that's being woven here. And
Scott Milker's like, oh shit, will they stop talking about Ripple and XRP? Oh my God, look at this guy. He's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Man, it feels like this is starting to come together, right? People
just
are
after
like, oh shit.
This was announced at 2 p.m., look what happened to the prices. Literally, we saw a pump from 2.8 to 3.5, so 25 cents increase. Definitely a very strong start off for Ripple today.
Maybe I was wrong.
Like, we are waiting for Trump to make his announcement as well, which is another thing. This is also going to be very bullish for XRP. So there are many momentums, especially this rate cuts we have been waiting for. This is another thing that, you know, people want to see.
About Ripple and XRP. Ripple does actually have a plan. They are becoming a bank. XRP could be institutionally ready for world adoption, right? How much billions of dollars could be saved every single day using XRP and RLUSD over the traditional SWIFT system, right? How much longer are we going to continue giving money to these big conglomerate banks that crap all over us, that we have to go to them and beg them to give us our own money? Sick of it.
See what it looks like. I mean, this is
Well, yeah, XRP is not going to replace banks. It's just going to try to help them, actually. So I don't know what the point here was. Banks are still going to dominate. It's just that XRP is, going to integrate with that. And so it's all a technology.
I didn't look deeply into that, but as you describe it, it seems like Ripple is really skating to where the puck's at with the institutional and government side of crypto. Like they have the money, they have the power, they have the, I guess, regulatory clarity now. And as you said, they can actually utilize their own stablecoin to increase usage of it for all these purposes. It's pretty brilliant.
and they can cash their XRP stack in for stablecoin. So it's this huge collateralized, 21st century exchange that is now offering IPO services and payment through their stablecoin. That's first of its kind. It's like what's going on in Wyoming. No one's ever done that before. It's never happened. So it definitely deserves our attention.
This is what I've talked about liquidity in the crypto markets associated with, equity IPOs, right? So, Bullish and Ripple doing some things. There's liquidity being passed back and forth there.
I'm going to give you all the information you need to know in Bullish after this clip. I just want to make sure that you understand. After we play this, I'm going to get into...
I feel like XRP is still very, very far from, having these global transactions that we have been asking for, but that's totally fine. We don't need them yet. We can wait like 1 to 2 years. We don't need to hit XRP for $10. That would be awesome for XRP to hit that amount. But even this moment, like XRP just hitting like $4, I feel like a lot of people would be happy.
What's going on with Ripple and Bullish, so you're absolutely caught up.
Here. Gemini taking a credit facility from Ripple, liquidity being passed back and forth there. There's new capital that's created literally out of thin air associated with Gemini's IPO that's happening momentarily. That's going to continue to fuel a move higher. And again, that to me, that's the reason why there's going to be a breakout to the upside that's going to be pretty extraordinary in my mind. You just can't.
So yeah, that's the thing with Ripple. It has more potential updates to actually pump, which makes me very happy. It's not just the rate cuts, it's also the ETFs combined with that. It's a very powerful move from anyone, holding Ripple right now. Even just the government politics affect crypto so much.
Just can't continue to create and facilitate sizable amounts of liquidity that just goes nowhere.
It's no different than the ICO, but now we're doing IPOs on crypto exchange.
If you guys don't know what ICOs are, they are basically when you could buy a crypto before it even launched. An IPO is initial public offering. That's like on the stock market. So that's what we're seeing now. IPOs are basically, he's saying, the new ICO. So ICO is when you bought a coin, and IPO is when you buy a company before it goes public.
Right, which is this. Look at how much. Look at the ICO craze and how much liquidity that pumped into the markets. I mean, that was an incredible sight to see. It was money sloshing all around, everywhere, every day. Now you're looking at Ripple doing the exact same type of a structure, and if you think about it, it's genius. If I'm going to launch my IPO, and
Ripple even said they're going to go public with IPO, right?
I'm a big crypto company, Gemini, and I want to partner with somebody that can give me all the collateral that I need, all the loan that I need, the facilities that I need, time. They actually have the exchange where people can go buy it, both retail, institutional, the whole gamut. It's accessible by all human beings. How do you think you would gatekeep that type of a project? Well, you force people to buy it in your stable coin, right? And then you have more liquidity coming in. It's the exact same recipe that the ICOs did. You had to get in. If you wanted to buy a unique ICO on Binance, what did you have to hold? BNB. You had to hold Binance. So same. It's just happening now with IPOs, which is insane because there's so much more money in the IPOs and there's so much more traditional finance that is paying attention to this, but it's being done in a high-speed rail versus an old, locomotive.
What's going to happen is this is the first phase of basically Ripple money. So they have just started a new wave of gathering money and buying companies, because with these companies over the next 3 years, with the administration we have now, with the government, they can make even more money. It's like a never-ending cycle. With all these companies they're buying, they can make more revenue. Sure, they're reinvesting all the profits after the SEC lawsuit.
It's steam locomotive. It's
all right. Let's take a look here at what's going on with Ripple and Bullish. The latest news connecting Ripple and Bullish centers on the Bullish initial public offering on the New York Stock Exchange, which closed on April 14, 2025, trading under BL ticker. What makes this IPO historic is that Bullish received $1.15 billion in proceeds using a diverse set of stablecoins, including Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin, which is issued on the XRP ledger. It marks the first time a U.S. public markets IPO has been settled entirely in stablecoins, demonstrating the growing role of Ripple's blockchain-based payment in institutional finance and capital markets. They are setting the trend here. They are showing the rest of the world that
so they're starting to pay through their blockchain, which is absolutely amazing.
That this works. You can use stablecoins to help a company IPO and do it all instantly on the blockchain, on the XRP ledger. This is the future. We just have to get more people to understand what's going on here, and then it's going to be all over but the shouting. Here are the key points. Most of Bullish's IPO proceeds were in USDC, EURC, and Ripple's RLUSD, which specifically spotlighted is successful in handling major financial transactions. After receiving the stablecoins, Bullish transferred custody to Coinbase, which now manages the assets for the public company. Bullish's CFO and Coinbase's head of institutional product both highlighted that the transaction illustrates the practicality of rising institutional confidence in stablecoins backed by formally regulated rules in the U.S. The collaboration evidences Ripple's infrastructure and liquidity, making RLUSD and XRP ledger integral to modern financial markets at a potential.
Ripple's USD and XRP ledger as key players. I feel like more and more they will want to pay through their own bridge, because that's what will raise their utility, right? A lot of the payments will go through their own financial bridge, which they have been building for years. So maybe some of these companies, like half they will pay in dollars and the other half they will use Ripple's bridge, which they will have to transfer the money out or use that transfer and put it back in fees. It makes total sense. It's like a genius move. And it's going to cost them less than transferring all that money back and forth.
Blueprint for future Wall Street deals. And man, it is so crazy. And so HSBC is even saying the timeline for crypto adoption has been accelerated. Let's find out what they're saying here. Then we're going to get into the news about ICOs.
It's going to come, isn't it? Two questions. One is in terms of a sense of time. How has the sort of time horizon shortened for you in the last 12 months? Like, was something that you thought was going to happen in 5 years' time? None. When do you think it's going to happen? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I think the whole crypto story has just been accelerated. But actually, the whole crypto story has been really fast. Bitcoin's white paper was 2008. We're 16 years in. And the US president has basically said the US wants to be a global leader and it's going to underpin the new financial markets and global financial system.
I feel like a lot of people underestimate how new crypto is. It is in its baby stages, basically. 16 years? Didn't like the stock market need 100 or 200 years?
In 16 years. And if you add AI, which is not the topic of today's discussion, if you add AI into the equation, which is going to really help accelerate this even further, because there's a really nice, coordination between AI and blockchain and crypto, it's going to speed it up even more. And we're moving to a world where finance is going to be completely transformed. It's people say, and it's a global financial system, but the majority of the world are not participants. And crypto is really solving the access issue. It's giving individuals with anyone around the world internet connection and a digital asset wallet to participate in financial markets.
Leveling the playing field. That is what is ringing home in my ears as she's talking.
And to have access potentially to US dollars. These are people that never could access.
Basically, crypto and the US government is connecting. itself. Both are connecting itself.
Access US dollars. So it's really going to change the game, and it's going to bring more people into global financial markets, and it's going to enhance wealth creation for everyone involved. And so it's great to see administrations and regulators really starting to appreciate that side of the equation. So considering Bitcoin's 16 years old, I'd say we're doing pretty well.
Let me break this down for you.
And XRP is like 10 years old. It didn't like start 2013. Yeah, it was 2013. And that's when it really popped off, right? That's when it really did well after their initial public offering. When it was 1 cent, I didn't get it, and it's one of my biggest regrets. But I'm not going to pass up that opportunity to at least teach people the power of XRP.
Other countries around the world are not as interested in buying US treasuries as they used to, right? US treasuries was always considered one of the safest places to invest your money because the US government is going to pay you. Now that we have all of this stuff going on around the world where we're trying to bring manufacturing, all this stuff back to America, other countries are looking, Japan, China, and the UK.
I feel like other countries will be forced to adapt to accept the new currencies like XRP, because the US is already getting full on with it, right? So there's nothing stopping them from just picking XRP like the USA. They will see, oh, that's so much money that we're passing on, you know, because we're not accepting it. Like even the one I don't want to mention on YouTube because I might get demonetized. They are now probably going to be coming back at some point. You know, seeing how much money US would make, like how much Trump would make from crypto.
They are looking at like, hey, maybe we don't need to buy any more US treasuries. And so some of these countries have been dumping them. And so the US all of a sudden is like, oh snap, dollar dominance is dropping around the world. China and India are trading oil and different things in yuan and not the US dollar. And the US is starting to understand we need a new buyer of US debt.
That's exactly the thing. More people are realizing, especially the US government, is that the dollar is not as strong as it was before. And the US is basically going also in on crypto, technology. You know, the US dollar it's getting more competitive out there.
Could that be, right? And the timing couldn't have been better because that buyer is now stablecoin companies. Stablecoins are backed up by treasuries. Most treasuries, right? You're not going to have a vault with $5 billion in hundreds or 50s, right? Nobody wants to keep that much money on them, but you can have a stack of treasury bills that represents that value. That is what Tether does. That is what USDC does. That is what Ripple is doing. That is what all of these stablecoin companies are going to do. And it's making it easier for people to access dollars around the world because most of the crypto market is traded in US-backed stablecoins. So this is not only helping the US dollar remain strong, but it is the government's way out in the future. Just think of where we would be if we didn't have this right now. We'd be in some little bit more trouble than we are, but this is something that we could talk about down the road here. So the Federal Reserve.
I feel like that's why they're working with all these, you know, payment companies, is because the payment companies are not only used in USA, but they want to be used everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere around the world, not just US. So Ripple has really a global payment plan, like a global worldwide thing.
Financial services, the ISO 20022 migration is complete. It's time to start exploring the possibility and XRP could.
All right, so you guys get the idea. Let's smash that like button and let's get on to the Trump announcement from the Oval Office. We have some breaking news here. What we've been waiting for. Seems like they're waiting. XRP Trump live. Let's see if, because people are waiting right now. Should be ready. Associated Press. Here we go. Maybe we can put like a price chart here right next to it.
I mean, I would suggest going over to the right, but it's up to you, whatever you want. Just as long as we're dead center.
BitUnix, XRP USDT. Just let me set up the price as well on the right side. All right, we are ready. like that. Looks much better now.
What do you mean was a beautiful day? Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Just gonna set up here. I don't want to miss that, so I'm gonna set it up properly. Here we go.
But what do I know? It could be just this is the direction they're going in, but it might be to lend and how it goes.
Seems like it's gonna start in a few minutes, so no worries on that.
If it had it for like a few years now, but you can't blend it because it burns it right. So if you put a camera, it'll just be a hot pad. You can put your breakfast on it.
Crypto short. No, trying to find the right folder. It's starting at least. They are starting it.
Well, I am started, right?
What's going on with the price? The price is pumping. Price looking pretty well. Come on, say something. I hope he mentions crypto though, that would be nice. I would be hyped about that. Like if he mentions XRP, was a good start to the day. This, yeah, James, this really changed everything, didn't it? Like this is the ooh. That's not from my side. That was awkward. What are they doing? That's official. I feel like they're changing something. It's starting.
Nothing up is black right now. But you, like, it shouldn't be going out. But where'd you see that? On AP YouTube. All right, well,
At least that means something is happening.
call that in after.
Price immediately dipped as we heard this live. What did the subtitles say? What are they talking about? Okay. So yeah, just they started filming this. This jumped to 24K viewers. Are getting some type of update. I'll be streaming as well later after this. I just, you know, I feel like that's a pretty important announcement to make anyway. Okay, they're going in. Price going up. I feel like these cameras are live. I can't zoom out because they're literally going into the... Alright, this is it, guys. Let's check. Trump was right about everything. Look at that hat. When he has a speech, I'll just mute myself and watch with you guys.
All know Johnny. He came
All right.
all the way from Italy, the beautiful country of Italy, to be with us. And he just got off the plane, and he's a hardworking guy, does a phenomenal job with FIFA. Nobody like him. I'm delighted to welcome FIFA President Gianni Infantino back to the White House for a major announcement about one of the most anticipated competitions in all of sports, the 2026, and this is a big deal, I'll tell you, I was so happy to get it, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And it's going to be the World Cup as we know it. It's the biggest, probably the biggest event in sports, I guess, Johnny, right?
Yeah.
On December 5th of this year, the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw will take place at the Kennedy Center. Some people refer to it as the Trump Kennedy Center, but we're not prepared to do that quite yet, maybe in a week or so. But right here in Washington, D.C., it's a tremendous honor to bring the global event and this incredible group of people and these unbelievable athletes, the best athletes in the world, to the cultural center of our nation's capital. I just left the Kennedy Center. We're spending a lot of money wisely on making it really beautiful. It's going to be beautiful again. It's like Washington, D.C. We had, by the way, in Washington, D.C., we have the lowest crime numbers they've had in years. Zero, it sounds like it's a horrible thing to say, but I might as well say it. Zero murders in the last week since we've done this. That's the first time in memory that that's happened, if you can believe it, how pathetic that is to have to even say it. And I'm tired of listening to these people say how safe it was before we got here. It was unsafe. It was horrible. And Mayor Bowser better get her act straight or she won't be mayor very long, because we'll take it over with the federal government, run it like it's supposed to be run. The numbers were horrible. It was a crime-infested rat hole. And they do have a lot of rats. We're getting rid of them, too. And we've made a lot of progress. And it was extremely unsafe, and now it's extremely safe. We had virtually no crime. The number was down 87%, and I'm trying to figure out where was the 13%, because I don't think it existed. The National Guard has been unbelievable, and they're working with the police. And they have some very good people in there. They have some people that shouldn't be police, actually, but they have some great people there. And the Washington, D.C. is a whole different place. And Johnny, I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that too, actually.
Oh, yes.
But it's a whole different place. People are excited again. They're going out to restaurants again. That was the other thing I saw numbers. That restaurant business is down in the last week. No. Restaurant business, you can't get into a restaurant. Just really lying people. And that's why people don't understand
so
how
FIFA
bad
is going to be in
dishonest
U.S.
the press is. I saw one poll that had us at 19% favorable on what we're doing with Washington. Then I saw another one that has us 94% favorable. And I can tell you the 94% is correct. The others are fake, just fake news. They got to get their act together. So bad for our country, so sick, actually. So Washington, D.C. is really doing unbelievably well. And the Kennedy Center that we're fixing, I was just there all morning with contractors. We're making it unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable. It's got great bones, but it needs a lot of work. The World Cup draw will set up the group stage of competition. 48 teams will play in 104 games across 16 North American cities, from Seattle to Vancouver to Atlanta to Miami. It's going to be so exciting for our country. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be one of the largest and most complex events. This will be one of the greatest events, one of the largest. In a way, it's like Johnny said it better. It's like having many Super Bowls in a short period of time. Because each one of these games essentially is a Super Bowl. Some of them are bigger than Super Bowls, actually. But they're essentially, each one of these games is like a Super Bowl. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be the largest, most complex set of events in sports history. And the Kennedy Center will give it a phenomenal kickoff, and we'll be involved, and they'll be working over there for quite a bit of time. We have it all set that they can stay there for the big events, the big press conferences and everything else. And they'll be in a very safe capital. That'll be nice. You don't have to worry about walking down the street, Johnny, okay?
Thank you.
But you could handle yourself.
I could.
Okay. Already, FIFA is projecting 6 million loyal fans will attend the World Cup events next year, and 6 billion more are going to be watching back home, and they think the $6 billion number is going to be actually a low number. And this will drive more than $30 billion into the U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs in a short period of time, too. No sporting event attracts more attention, more fans, more viewers, or more revenue than the FIFA World Cup. And again, I'll just say it's the World Cup, and it's the biggest thing there is in sports, and we have it. And I got it in my first administration, and I was really somewhat devastated, as devastated as I can be. I don't have time to get too devastated. I was very happy that today, as you saw, the group that does this, a government group, radical left group, announced that Trump was right, took in $4 trillion worth of tariffs, that the $4 trillion are going to reduce the deficit by numbers far greater than they ever expected or heard of. And by the way, the stock market went up 1,000 points. That was as of 10 minutes ago. I can't tell you what happened. A lot of things happened. But the stock market's up almost 1,000 points. And it's basically on the news that the release that just came out from government that the tariffs that everybody was talking about, that the whole world respects us for because of what we did. The tariffs are going to be at $4 trillion. They're going to reduce the deficit by $4 trillion, Mr. Vice President.
Pretty good, sir.
Too bad it's not 5, right?
That's right.
It's had a huge impact, and the stock market is way up. But this will drive more than $30 billion in U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs. No sporting event attracts more attention or more fans or anything else. And I just look forward to the draw. So we're going to have the draw, essentially, Johnny, at the Kennedy Center.
Yep.
And by that time, it'll be in even better shape. We're working on it. It's about a year project to make it. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. You see the way this is looking? Look, nice. I can't tell you how much that gold costs. A lot of money. There's nothing like gold, and there's nothing like solid gold. But this beautiful office needed it. It had to be representative. When we took it over, it was dirty, not clean. I immediately changed the chair and had this beautiful desk renovated, brought out by the White House. People that do this, they did a great job. We send it out. We have a craftsman who's great. But this was not appropriate for the Oval Office when I took over. And now, you look at all those paintings you're allowed to turn back. All of these are great presidents, and they were all in the vaults. They were in vaults for some cases much more than 100 years. And now they're proudly hanging on the Oval Office walls, and I can't imagine anybody changing it. But they were buried in vaults for over 100 years, many of them. So it's very exciting. People come in, they really love it. They love what we're doing here. They love what we're doing in D.C., and they love what we're doing, most importantly, in the country and the world. I'd like to ask Johnny to say a few words. He's the head of the whole thing. He's been there for a long time, probably the most respected man in sports. He's amazing, actually. Works very hard, and he's got the biggest event in the world coming right here to the United States. And a little, we did a little for Canada, we did a little for Mexico. We thought, see, I'm a good citizen. I said, let them have a little piece. So we gave a little to Canada, see how nice I am? And we gave a little bit to Mexico. And Johnny, please say a few words.
Thank you, President. Great honor for me to be here with you today, President.
Seems like it's not XRP, but still bullish news.
Fantastic to announce what you said, which is the final draw of the FIFA World Cup on the 5th of December here in the capital, in the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. at 12 noon sharp. It will be broadcast live all over the world. 1 billion viewers will watch it. And it will determine, of course, the match schedule, which 48 participating teams will play. You said it, 104 matches in 1 month, 104 Super Bowls. This is not just the biggest, the greatest event, not just a sports event, it's a social event as well, with a lot of emotion. We are uniting the world, Mr. President, uniting the world here in America, and we are very proud of that. And those teams, those national teams who will come here to participate in this draw with their coaches, with their presidents, they will all be proud to be part of writing this history. And that's why we brought as well this, which is the winner's trophy. It is the trophy that the winner of the FIFA World Cup wins. Only the FIFA president, presidents of countries, and then those who win can touch it, because it's for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course, you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy. Yeah. It's the winner trophy. The last one who lifted that is Lionel Messi of Argentina. And here it is in the Oval Office in the White House.
Can I keep it?
For you. Well, you can. We're not giving it back.
We're not giving it back. That's serious.
It fits well.
That
here.
goes very well on the wall right over there. We'll put it right below the angels.
It fits well here.
That's
I think.
beautiful. Yeah,
You can keep it until we have to give it to the next winner.
That's fine. That's a beautiful piece of gold. I will say. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So 6 billion viewers for the World Cup, 6 million coming to the matches, 30 billion economic impact, 185,000 jobs. This will be absolutely fantastic. The biggest event ever, and everything will start here in Washington D.C. at the Kennedy Center, or the Trump Kennedy Center. We'll see that how it will be called on the 5th of September at noon sharp. 5th of December, noon sharp. Then, if I may...
Will they be doing most of the draws, all of the draws at the Kennedy? Well, how are you going to do that?
Yes,
exactly?
we'll do that at the Kennedy Center. We'll do all the other meetings around it with the coaches, with the broadcasters, with the sponsors, everything at the Kennedy Center. The whole World Cup starts, and everyone will be happy because everyone has qualified for the World Cup, and they didn't yet play a game, so they didn't lose yet a game. So they all think they can become world champion, right?
They'll all be happy.
Exactly. Now,
by the way, an example, supposing we had a week ago when everybody was being killed and mugged and everything else, despite the phony numbers that were given out, that it was getting better. Brian, do you believe it was getting better or getting worse?
Oh, the crime was getting worse. I mean, I was robbed. It was getting way worse. Yeah.
How did the other guy come out?
He came out with a briefcase, unfortunately. Yeah. So, Robert won, Brian 0.
No, but can you imagine you do this and then you start hearing that they had a 20-year reduction of crime. It's worse. It was worse during the Biden administration than anybody's ever imagined possible. And I guarantee you he wouldn't be here if those numbers continued. But now we have total safety. We have total security. And for the border, in 3 months, 0 people. These are done by liberal people that do these charts. 0 people came through our border in the last 90 days. Can you believe it? 0. Last year we had millions of people coming in, and they came in from the wrong locations. They came in a lot of people that shouldn't be here. So now when we have this event in December, it's going to be very safe. Johnny, you can walk down the street with your beautiful wife.
Yeah.
You can take her to dinner if you can get a reservation, which I doubt.
They're all full, the restaurants.
I know. They're all full. I heard that too. The restaurants aren't. The restaurants, since we are doing this, are doing great. And many new restaurants are going to open because, as you know, many closed. Yeah. Many restaurants closed because the crime was so bad. This will be one of the safest places anywhere on earth. So, you know, I really am honored that the National Guard has done such an incredible job working with the police. And we haven't had to bring in the regular military, which we're willing to do. We have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one. But they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York, and we're going to help with, and I think a lot of these people that you see on television, they are, including the people in this audience, they'll say bad things about me, and then they'll say, thank God he's here, because half of them got mugged, and they don't want to get mugged again. But they're, you know, they work for stupid people that are radical left, and they're made to do things and say things that they don't want to be saying. But the people right here are all happy because you're not going to be mugged in Washington, D.C. anymore. I just want to say Johnny's been my friend for a long time. He's an incredible guy, and we will lay out the red carpet. Andrew, you're going to be fantastic. Rick is going to be everything Rick ever touched has always worked out, and he's working with me on the Kennedy Center. And his very good friend was an actor on Broadway for 5 years, right? And I assume he's helping us a little bit, right?
Yes.
And Andrew, you're all excited about it?
Absolutely.
Would you like to say something?
This is a great opportunity, Mr. President, to show off the first 250 years of the United States of America, the greatness, and then the hope and promise of the next 250 years. When you think this World Cup is going to be over our 250th birthday, Mr. President, your leadership, obviously, with FIFA leading the way, this is the largest sporting event in the history of the world under the Trump administration. So very excited.
I just want to say one thing. Andrew Giuliani, so his father is Rudy, the greatest mayor in the history of New York, I think by far. He took a ravaged city, a city that was really under siege. Probably most people thought it was going to survive. He turned it around. He was a great, great mayor. And then they treated him very, very unfairly. You go back and tell your father all of the things that have come out over the last couple of months through Tulsi and through all of the people, Cash, everybody. They've proven your father 100% correct. His father was treated so unfairly. Your father has been 100% correct. And tell him we all love him, okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
It's been amazing. What he had to go through was very, very unfair. Nasty. These are bad people. Mr. Vice President, would you like to say something?
Well, sure, Mr. President. Thank you, and thanks to Johnny for being here. We're very thrilled about the World Cup. Just to echo something the President said about crime in Washington, D.C., this is the national capital of the greatest nation in the world, and we had murder rates just a few weeks ago that rivaled some of the worst third world cities anywhere, even in very, very poor regions of the world. Why did we accept that? Why did we allow it to happen? We allowed it to happen because we had broken leadership in Washington, D.C., and unfortunately sitting behind the Resolute desk. What we have shown in just under 2 weeks of taking law enforcement seriously is that the American people can have their streets back if their leadership is willing to put in the time and the resources. Mr. President, you've shown in Washington, D.C. that we can have safe streets again. We've just got to have the political willpower to focus on the bad guys and to give the American people back their communities. We are focused on doing that thanks to the President's leadership.
Thank you. And that's a really very small percentage. It's 2%, 3%, but that 2% and 3% wreaks just havoc throughout a community. People are petrified, and I notice a couple of the women in the back are shaking their head, yes, yes, yes. I won't report who you are because you'll end up losing your jobs, but it's true. It's amazing. And the police, and you look at the D.C. National Guard, I saw pictures of them last night getting off vans and all, and I saw some bad ones running, but they're not running so much anymore. They're not there. They're just not even, they're not even trying. You're totally safe. Now, there'll be something happening sometime. I don't know. Maybe it won't be for a long time, but this was every night would get reports of people being mugged and killed. There's one woman on television last night. She had a badly busted up nose, and she's, well, I like our streets the way they used to be. And she thinks it's going to happen like by doing nothing. And they say, what happened to your nose? She got slugged by a guy walking down the street, slugged. Her nose will never be the same, I guarantee you, unless it takes a pretty good turn. She wasn't really for us. But she sort of said, well, maybe something has to happen. Before this happened to me, she got whacked. And I don't think she'll ever be the same. She almost became, she was a half a Trump fan, a woman that would have never been a Trump fan, but she was hit hard. It's not going to happen anymore. Not going to happen anymore. But then we're going to beautify the city too. That's where I was today at Kennedy Center. And we're going to beautify the city like it has it. And we're working with Clark Construction, the biggest construction company in Chicago, and in Chicago and Washington. And the head of Clark is great. He's all over the world, actually. But Washington, I would say, is their home. That's where they do the best work, the biggest work. And they're doing they've been doing a fantastic job. So you're going to have a fantastic, clean, beautiful place. It's going to be better than it ever was before, literally better than it ever was before. We'll get it done very quickly. And I want to thank Clark because they're doing a lot of work in a lot of different locations, but they've been fantastic for getting us the right contractors and the people that can really do the job right. And Johnny, did you want to say something?
Yes, I have one more thing, because as you rightly say, you know, with security and beautifying cities and the whole country, we want people to come and enjoy and have fun. And that's why this is not just the most iconic trophy in the world of sport, but we start on the 10th of September the sale of tickets for the FIFA World Cup. And we have the first ticket here for the final.
Good. Wow.
For you.
Oh, good.
That's cool.
Wow.
It's, of course, row 1, seed 1. It's ticket number 4547. And it's for the final in New York, New Jersey. That's great. And so you have your ticket already for the final. All the others, 10th of September, start getting your tickets.
That's beautiful, yeah.
6.5, 7 million tickets. Fans will enjoy the security here. Will be fantastic.
You're going to do record business, I think.
100%.
Christy, would you like to say something?
Yeah, Mr. President, millions of people will come to this country, and we'll make sure they get their travel documents, their visas, that they want to come here and spend their money and enjoy the sporting event. It'll be the largest event in the world. And sir, you're reminding me of something that my dad used to say all the time when I was growing up. He would say, Christy, you kids need to look like you respect yourself before anybody's going to respect you. And in this country, when people look at our streets, when they look at our capital, you're bringing respect back to this city. And people will respect our country more because it's safe, it's clean, it's beautiful. And what you're doing is transforming this nation by making sure that our laws are upheld. And millions of people are going to come and be able to enjoy it next year, and I'm excited about that. Thank you for doing that.
Well, our country is respected again. And a year ago, we had a dead country. I'm telling you, it was a dead country. It was a country that had lost its way. It was a country that was going to fail. Look, even today, where they say $4 trillion in reductions of deficits, and this was totally unexpected. They didn't expect it. I mean, I don't know where they've been, the people that do this stuff, but it's terrible. I want to thank Christy for another reason. I said to her 2 weeks ago, I said, Christy, do me a favor. I built hundreds of miles of wall. I built the same wall that the Border Patrol asked me to build. It wasn't my first choice. I wanted to do concrete plank and everything nice, but you wouldn't have been able to see through it. So I had Border Patrol in, and they tested everything else. And we gave them steel wall, high-grade steel, very hard to cut. Then we gave inside that is 9,000-pound concrete, which is a very tough concrete. Inside that is rebar, a big, fat piece of rebar. So you have all different materials that are very hard to cut, and you need different instruments to cut each one. And I said, Christy, we got to get a coat of paint on it. And I didn't know she was listening. But I said, we got to get a coat of paint, and it should be black, because black makes the steel very hot. It's untouchable. You could fry an egg on it. And if you got a good black, flat paint, it would look beautiful. It will preserve it from rust. And that was it. And I gave it to her along with 30 other things, and she's done such a good job on the border with Tom Homan and the group. Tom Homan's a fantastic guy, what the job he does, and the way they work together. So I turned on last night and I see Christie's painting the wall. And it looked beautiful, by the way, when that paint went over there.
And it's hot.
It's hot.
Yes, it is.
It's hot. If it's white, it's not hot. If it's black, it's going to be very hard to climb that sucker. It's not going to be easy. But it's black and a high quality black. You know, it really looked good.
Yeah, we got
Is
the
that going to
paint
be a
you told us
two-coat
to.
job or one
No,
coat?
just one coat.
One coat.
We used the paint you told me to buy.
Yep. The two-coat will take place in 3 years from now. Right? We'll do the second coat. But it looks beautiful. But thank you very much. I didn't know you were listening to that, because we talked about 7 different subjects, and all of a sudden I see you're out there painting with a lot of painters and everything else. But it was a beautiful thing to say. Would you like to say something? You've been such a big part of this. Please.
Well, just, Mr. President, we're delighted to be here today for this announcement, but we're also looking forward to having you at the final.
Oh, yes.
On July
Oh, yes.
19th
No, we'll be
in New
there.
York, New Jersey.
We're going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there.
A lot of people.
I'd like to thank you all. Do you have any questions on FIFA, first of all?
It's going to be a big event at the Kennedy Center. Do you intend to take part in it? Will you have a part to play on December 5th?
I might play. I mean, I see the money that these soccer players, we call it soccer, but I see the money that these soccer players are making. I may try and play. I'm a very good athlete. My son is a very good athlete, and he's a good soccer player. He's on the tall side for soccer. Yeah. He's 6'9". That's pretty tall. But
that's pretty tall.
It's on the tall side.
He's good.
It's on the tall side, but he's good. But no, I may put on shorts. I look extremely good in shorts and join the play. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be good.
Many foreigners who want to come to attend the event are concerned about the visa situation. Can you reassure them?
Yeah, they're going to have a very easy time getting in. Certain countries are going to be very, very easy, and other countries are going to be obviously a little bit more difficult. Would you like to explain that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a process set up that we'll be implementing on on getting visas approved. Everybody will be thoroughly vetted, but they'll be welcome to this country. It'll happen quickly, and we're excited for them to come. So I would hope that around the world people know that the United States is excited to bring their family here to enjoy this event.
America welcomes the world.
Yes.
And I can really, from the collaboration that we have, testify for that. Absolutely. Thank you.
And I was just sent a picture from somebody that wants to be there very badly. He's been very respectful of me and of our country, but not so respectful of others. But he'll, I'm going to sign this for him, but I was sent one, and I thought you'd all like to see it. That's a man named Vladimir Putin, who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming, and he may not, depending on what happens. We have a lot of things happening over the next couple of weeks. So, but I thought it was a nice picture of him. Okay of me, but nice of him. So that was very nice that it was sent to me. Okay?
Mr. President, on
yes.
that subject, have you talked to Vladimir Putin about the fact that yesterday a big U.S. factory was hit in a Russian airstrike in Ukraine? What's your reaction to
I
that?
told him I'm not happy about it. And I'm not happy about anything having to do with that war. I said I settled 7 wars, and actually, if you think about pre-wars, add 3 more, so it would be 10. I thought this would be in the middle of the pack in terms of difficulty. No, I'm not happy about anything about that war. Nothing. Not happy at all. We'll see what happens.
I was hoping he would mention
I think
XRP
over
as
the
well.
next 2 weeks, we're going to find out which way it's going to go. And I better be very happy.
Mr. President, I had a very good call with Prime Minister Carney of Canada yesterday morning.
Yes.
Actually, Canada is taking away some retaliatory tariffs.
He's removing his tariffs, yeah.
Exactly.
He's removing his retaliatory tariffs, which I thought was nice. And we're going to have another call soon. Okay. Yeah, we had a very good call.
You're getting closer towards an agreement on trade?
I like them. You know, look, I'm fighting for the United States. Canada and Mexico have taken a lot of our business over the years, over 25, 30 years, especially during the Biden years. They took a lot of our business, and it's basically all coming back into the United States now. Well, hot as a pistol, and it's coming back in. Because of tariffs and the incentives we give, it's coming back. And it's impossible, I think, for another country to stop it. And we are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good person. And we had a very good talk yesterday, so I think it'll be good.
Mr. President, I have a question about the search of Ambassador Bolton's home. The Vice President recently just did an interview saying that it's about classified documents, but that there's also broad concern about him. What are the concerns?
Well,
that
I
you
haven't
have?
spoken to Pam in the group yet, but I will be. I saw that just like everybody else. I try and stay out of that stuff. I'm allowed to be, and I'm chief law enforcement officer, believe it or not. You know, I don't like to go around saying that, but I am. That's the position. But I purposely don't want to really get involved in it. I'm not a fan of John Bolton. I thought he was a sleazebag, actually. And he suffers major Trump derangement syndrome, but so do a lot of people, and they're not being affected by anything we do. I don't know anything about it. I just saw that. I'll find out about it. But if you believe the news, which I do, I guess his house was raided today. But my house was raided also, called Mar-a-Lago. They went through everything they could, including my young son's room and my wife's area. They went through her drawers, as the expression goes. They went through everything you can imagine. And when she came back, she said, she's very neat, you know, she's meticulous. And she looked and she said, whoa, this wasn't the way that she had it. So, you know, so I know the feeling. It's not a good feeling. Thank you.
Mr. President, on Ukraine, how long will you give Putin?
A couple of weeks. We're going to figure it out. We'll find it.
Do you think you'll have to intervene at some point?
Look, it takes 2 to tango. You understand that. I wanted to have a meeting with those 2. I could have been at the meeting, but a lot of people think that nothing's going to come out of that meeting. You have to be there. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But we're going to see. In the meantime, people continue to die. But I've solved 7 of them where they were in wars for 31, 35, and 37 years. We had 3 of them that were for more than 30 years, Johnny, and I got them solved. And we solved one that could have been a nuclear war with India and Pakistan. That was getting ready to be a nuclear war. I solved them all. And this one, I thought we would have had it done by now, but it's It's more difficult. There's a lot of anger, a lot of hatred. There's a tremendous amount of hatred there. So, but we'll see what happens. I think in 2 weeks we'll know which way I'm going, because I'm going to go one way or the other, and they'll learn which way I'm going.
Mr. President, if I got 2 questions for you, one on FIFA, the other one on DC. Let's talk. Can you talk about the economic impact that FIFA will have in these cities, and what's your message to the mayors to get their cities prepared, not only the beautification process, but also the safety aspect?
Well, Los Angeles is an example. You know, it's poorly run. We have a mayor there that can't even get permits to the people that lost their houses. Lee Zeldin got every permit. The hardest permit is the federal permit. Within 20 days, every single permit was there for the people to build their houses. But people are writing us and they're saying they won't give us. The mayor is incompetent. The governor is incompetent. You know, Gavin. I know Gavin very well. He's an incompetent guy with a good line of bullshit, and he doesn't get the job done. And frankly, those people want to build their houses. It's terrible. They could have been built. Some of them could have been built already. But think of it: the federal government that has the most complex part, and it's the most complex environmental thing to do. We got it. Everybody had it within 30 days. And they're not even close to getting their permits. And now they're talking about taking some of those sites and building low-income housing on them. These are high-end neighborhoods. And I'm all for low-income housing. I built a lot of low-income housing. I know all about 236. I know every program that there is in the government. I used every one of them. I know more about low-income housing than probably almost anybody. And it's great. It's fine. It's wonderful. But you don't build it in Pacific Palisades. You don't build it there, and you don't build it in the other areas that burned down. So they're talking about putting up low-income housing. And you talk about riots. They're going to have riots if that happens, because you're taking the people's property away. They want to build their houses, and they're unable to get permits from the mayor and from the governor. And that's a terrible thing. But, and let me tell you, if I didn't send in the troops in Los Angeles, Johnny wouldn't be in Los Angeles. You wouldn't be having your World Cup there. I sent in the troops and we kept it. And even the police commissioner, the sheriff and the police commissioner, they all said the same thing. They said, we could have never handled what was happening. You saw that, you were there. He said, we could have never handled what was happening. And then you hear Gavin Newsom, after it's all quelled, you hear Newsom get up and said, we could have done this for ourselves. No, they couldn't have. And if they could have, I wouldn't have taken the chance either.
Okay, my second question is on crime prevention. Would you be open to expanding the national concealed carry to apply to D.C. like it does in other states like Texas?
Yeah. Well, they have it in some states and they feel strongly about it. As you know, I'm in favor of it. People have to protect themselves. I'm a Second Amendment person, very simply. People have to be able to protect themselves. Especially like in Washington, you walk down the street, a guy comes up and slugs you. He's got a pistol in his hand. You can be tough, you can be in great shape, you can be a powerful person, or you can be a guy that weighs 100 pounds with a gun in your hand. Right. And I'll bet on the guy with the gun 100% of the time, right? And so you need protection. So I'm a Second Amendment person all the way. Yeah, please.
President Trump, you said this morning that you were working with Congress to get $2 billion to help clean up DC. Have you had any conversations with Mike Johnson and John Thune about where they're going to get that money from?
Which money?
You said this morning that you're going to get $2 billion from Congress to help clean up DC.
Yeah, I've spoken to Mike Johnson. I've spoken to John Thune, the Senate, the House, and I think it's going to be very easy to get. It's going to be not a lot of money. I wouldn't even know where to spend the number that you mentioned, but it's going to be money to beautify the city. Yeah, they're ready. Everybody wants to save DC. In one way, it's the easiest. The violence was more than any other city in the country, actually, by far. It may have been more than any other city in the world, if you could think. We looked at some of the worst cities in the world, it was worse. And that's why it angers me to see the mayor saying about how they have it on the slide. Not on the slide, it was worse than ever. Yeah, we have no problem getting that money. That money will come out of Congress. I think it'll be even bipartisan.
And is the plan
I would imagine Democrats would vote for that one.
Is the plan to get it before the September 30 spending deadline on the Hill?
Well, I don't know if there is a deadline, because if I declare a national emergency, which this was, that ends the deadline. So, I keep seeing about a 30-day deadline, of which we have 22 days left or something. But if I think we're in great shape here, that's one thing. But if I don't, I'm going to just say it's a national emergency. And if I have a national emergency, I can keep the troops there as long as I want. If people are not going to want to have the troops in 30 days, you know, it's one thing to get them out. It's another thing to keep them out for a long period of time. You've got to train people. You can't do this. You can't bop people over the head. And a lot of those people are in courts right now, going to court. They're going to go to jail for a long time. So that's going to take more than 30 days. But if I have to, I'll declare a national emergency, which I don't think I'll have to do. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask you about the question? You said in 2 weeks you'll know whether you go
Yeah,
one
I think I'll
or the
know.
other.
I think I'll know the attitude of Russia and, frankly, of Ukraine. It takes two.
What are the 2 ways you can go at the end of 2 weeks then?
Well, then I'm going to make a decision as to what we do, and it's going to be a very important decision. And that's whether or not it's massive sanctions or massive tariffs or both. Or do we do nothing and say it's your fight? Look, I would have never been in this war if I were president. You wouldn't have had this war. It was never going to happen. This was caused by stupid people that fought. And you know, people say, well, how do we know? Because for 4 years, it was never even a subject. And Vladimir knew, and you see his picture right here. It was nice that he sent, but Vladimir knew very strongly we wouldn't have stood for it. It wouldn't have happened. 100% wouldn't have happened, but it did happen. And now they're losing from 5 to 7 young kids. Think of it, you're a parent and your son is leaving. He's Russian or he's Ukrainian. And he's leaving and they're waving goodbye. Nice, beautiful kid. Nice crew cut, all set. He wants to be a soldier. And he goes there first week, he has his head blown off. And he's no different than you people, me. And it doesn't matter where. I mean, I solved a problem in the Congo that was vicious. Rwanda and the Congo, the Republic of the Congo. And they were fighting for 31 years, and it was machetes. People were getting their heads chopped off. That was going on for 31 years. I got it solved. You saw it. They came to the White House, we signed an agreement. It was amazing. People can't believe we got it done. I love to stop killing. I really do. People thought it would be just the opposite. Hillary Clinton said, oh, he'll get us into a war. No, I'm getting everybody else out of wars.
Are you saying there's a real possibility then that you do nothing if Putin doesn't come to the table for a ceasefire or try to end the war?
I'll see whose fault it is. If there are reasons why, I'll understand that. I know exactly what I'm doing. We're going to see whether or not they have a meeting. That'll be interesting to see. And if they don't, why didn't they have a meeting? Because I told them to have a meeting. But I'll know in 2 weeks what I'm going to do. I have pretty good ideas.
Your Justice Department is also sending some of the Epstein files over to the House Oversight Committee today. Are you in support of them releasing all of them?
Keeping it open.
If they wanted to release,
people shouldn't be hurt, but I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. You got a lot of people that it could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be. You know, people, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach. I don't know anything about that, but I have said to Pam and everybody else, give them everything you can give them, because it's a Democrat hoax. It's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax. So we had the greatest 6 months, 7 months in the history of the presidency, and the Democrats don't know what to do, so they keep bringing up that stuff. But it affected them. Bill Clinton was on his plane and went to the island supposedly 28 times. I don't want to bring that up, frankly. You have Larry, whatever his name is, Summers, the head of Harvard, who was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. Nobody ever talks about that.
I'm still waiting if we're gonna have some questions about crypto at least.
No, this is
like
a
that's what I'm
Democratic
hoping
hoax
for.
to try and get the significance of what we've done over the past 7 months. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They say it's #1 in history. What we've done, including stopping 7 wars. I mean, just include that. And now you look at the stock market today. It's way up to start off with from where I took it. And this market was going to crash. If Joe Biden or Kamala were president, this market we would have had a crash like in 1929. You're not going to have that. It's only a question of how high is it going to go. You know, I had the strongest economy in the history of our country. And despite COVID, we had the strongest economy in the history of our country. And we're going to blow it away this time. I was always good at making a lot of money. And whether it was for myself or whether it was, I like doing it this way better. I mean, I like making it for the country. Our country's been ripped off by friend and foe, nations all over the world ripped off. And the friends have been much worse than the foes for the most part. And They're not ripping us off. We just signed a deal with the European Union. They're paying us essentially $950 billion, like a signing fee. They're going to buy $750 billion worth of energy. They weren't buying much of our energy there. And they're very smart in doing it. And as you know, Ursula was here a couple of days ago having to do with the people, the leaders that we had a great, people said they've never seen anything like it. Well, we had the leaders of Europe right here in the Oval Office. And she's so happy that she has an agreement. But people aren't ripping us anymore. We're run by, this country is run by smart people now.
Mr. President, in Israel...
Two questions. One is that Intel...
1 second, guys.
Some reports that you're considering taking a stake in Intel. Can you tell us
About the 10%?
About the 10%.
Yeah, I met a man. He was a very nice man, and I called for his removal because I saw something by a man named Tom Cotton, a senator from Arkansas. He's a great guy, friend of mine, supporter of mine, big supporter. I'm a supporter of his too. And he wrote a pretty nasty story about the head of Intel. And I said, well, if that's right, he should resign. And he came in, he saw me, we talked for a while. I liked him a lot. I thought he was very good. I thought he was somewhat a victim, but, you know, nobody's a total victim, I guess. And I said, you know what? I think the United States should be given 10% of Intel. And he said, I would consider that. I said, well, I'd like you to do that because Intel has been left behind, as you know, compared to Jensen and some of our friends, NVIDIA, some of the people, and the people in, because Intel should have never been. Intel was the biggest, most powerful chip company in the world. And then they started leaving. And they started going to foreign countries, in particular Taiwan. And if we had a president that would have said, okay, you can go to Taiwan, but we're going to put a 100% tariff or a 200 or 300 or a 500% tariff, anybody that sells into the United States has to pay. They wouldn't have left. They would have never left, and we wouldn't have. So in the meantime, we had people that were, in some cases, good politicians that weren't good on trade. I loved that man, but he was not good on trade. I totally disagreed. He allowed the car industry to be taken out of this country. We lost 50% of our car industry. But that's all coming back. It's all coming back. But if somebody would have said that with Intel, would be a giant right now. Now, with that, they've had some bad management over the years, and they got lost. And I said, I think you should pay us 10% of your company. And they said, yes. That's about $10 billion. I don't get it. This comes to the United States of America. And I said, I think it would be good having the United States as your partner. He agreed. And they've agreed to do it. And I think it's a great deal for them. And I think it's a great deal. He walked in wanting to keep his job, and he ended up giving us $10 billion for the United States. So we picked up $10 billion. And we do a lot of deals like that. I'll do more of them. If somebody has, like we have restrictive covenants with Jensen. We have, it's NVIDIA. And to unrestrict the covenant, nothing to do with losing our powers or military or anything, because that I wouldn't do. But there are things you can do that don't affect us, that actually help us. And if we're going to give somebody a free out, a restricted covenant, we have a strong restrictive covenant on certain industries. And I will absolutely give somebody a opening on a restrict to do a lot of business, which is good for us, as long as it doesn't hurt us in a security or military way. And if I do that, I think the country should be paid, because anybody else, I have it in real estate where I'll have a deal with somebody and I'll have them restrictive covenant. Then they'll come back and they'll say, I'd love to be able to build over here, but I'm not allowed to because you have me covered, you have me restricted. I say, I'll let you build over there, but pay me a lot of money. No different. But the country never did it because the country was run by foolish people.
You said Chicago might be next. Are you making, have there been concrete steps that the administration
There is a question about Jerome Powell.
What are other cities?
I haven't spoken to him. He's grossly incompetent. I haven't spoken to the mayor. No, when we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C. Chicago is very dangerous, great place. I built great stuff there. I have the most beautiful building in Chicago, I think. But I hate to see what's happened to Chicago. Chicago was our greatest city, actually. Bob Tisch, a great friend of mine, passed away. He used to own the Giants and very successful Lowe's. He said Chicago, I think they had their main office in Chicago. He said Chicago and San Francisco are the two greatest cities in the world. Now you look at what the Democrats have done to San Francisco. They've destroyed it. I own a big chunk of the Bank of America building in San Francisco. And, you know, it's just different. We can clean that up too. We'll clean that one up too. No, if everything works out, and we've already had calls from other cities, quiet calls from Democrats. We'd love you to come here because they've lost control of their cities. I'm not going to say because I don't want them to lose their elections. But we've had calls from Democrats and calls from people generally. We'd love you to come here because we'll straighten out the problem.
Mr. President, in Israel, the families of hostages in Israel, families of hostages are opposed to the reoccupying of Gaza. Why is the U.S. still
Well, not
supporting
all of them. And you have to understand, I'm the one that got all of the hostages out. You got a lot of people out. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be out. I worked with Bibi and I worked with Steve Witkoff. But if it wasn't for me, you would have all these hostages would most likely be dead right now, every one of them. So they all come up here. They come in groups of 10, 12, 13, and many of them, and I've gotten to know a lot of them. They're great people. What they had to go through is incredible. But so now they have 20, but the 20 is actually probably not 20 because a couple maybe aren't around any longer. It's a terrible thing. No, I don't like anymore. I said, you know, when you get down to 20, they're not going to make deals anymore. And they didn't. And then I put out a statement, as you know, that was a tough statement, go in and get them. And they said, we'll give you 10, we'll give you 10. I don't know what Israel's doing, but they were willing now immediately to give us another 10. The situation has to end. It's extortion and it has to end. And we'll see what happens. I actually think they're safer in many ways if you went in and you really went in fast and you did it. And people can't forget October 7th, remember that. I'm friendly with all groups. I won the Arab vote in Michigan. I did so great with the Arab vote, remember? I started off at 0, I ended up winning. I wouldn't say the candidate was the greatest, but I would have won against anybody. They're great people. But we have to do things properly. And you know, I'm very proud to say I got the hostages out. You have hundreds of people that are living now because of me. And now we have that final little group of people. And Hamas knows that if they give them, that's probably the end of their lives. So it's not easy to get. And I know if you're a parent, you just don't care. I want my baby back. They want their babies back. They want their kids back. And I understand it. But I got them out and did a good job. And we're doing everything we can to get the hostages out. Thank you all very much. Yes?
So Jackson Hole, Jay Powell today said, he suggested that they might cut interest rates, but they have to proceed.
Well, we call him too late for a reason. He should have cut him a year ago. He's too late. You know, we have a stock market that's up 1,000 points today. I better be careful because I'll go out there and I'll see it's down 1,000, right? But it's up 1,000 points when I came in here. We have a country that the market's the hottest it's ever been. The country's better than it's ever been. We have a military that I rebuilt largely in my first term. We had a great, successful first term, but this is going to be even better. But we rebuilt it. We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan, but relatively small compared to the overall. But I think it was the most embarrassing day and period in the history of our country that they allowed those 13 wonderful people, but it's really hundreds of people were killed. And they don't talk about the 48 that was so severely wounded with no legs, no arms, nobody ever mentions them except me. But that was the worst day, the most, it just showed how incompetent. Frankly, if that didn't happen, I really believe that you might not have had the problem with Russia. I think Putin was sitting there watching these stupid people running our country and said, this is a time to invade. It's, this is a time. And then Biden made the statement, well, he can do a small incursion. When he said that, it was off to the races, right? When he said he can do a small incursion, remember that? I was surprised he knew the word incursion. I didn't think he had that good of a vocabulary. I want to thank everybody. It's very important to me and to everybody up here, the World Cup. And Johnny has been so incredible. I mean, he's really a great leader. I mean, to think, I said, Johnny, do it by phone. You don't have to come. No, he said, I'll come. And he flew all night long to be here and listen to this about how great we're doing in D.C. But he's a fantastic leader, and this will be your most successful World Cup ever. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much. America win. Yeah, can we win it, Mr. President?
I don't know. That's I watch some of those teams go right. They go down that field. I don't know. But let me ask you: what chance does America have of winning?
Well, the home team always has a good chance to win. It depends
see,
how
he's a
it
good
starts. No, but has some good
Oh, we have a
players.
shot. We have a-
yeah,
we
yeah,
have
of
a
course, you have a chance. You have a
Will
chance.
Barrett be going to any of the games, Mr. President?
I'd love to have him. He'd love to. He's very tall. Maybe we can make him a goalie. The goalies are very tall now, right? I
Yeah,
know.
goalies are very tall.
The goalies, well, he'd be a perfect goalie. At his,
100%.
at his height, he'll be a great
Yeah,
goalie.
exactly.
So we'll put him with the American team.
Yeah.
No, but
Goal.
do the Americans have a chance of like getting into the quarterfinals?
Yes,
right?
definitely. No,
Yeah.
the quarterfinal definitely. But then, you know, as the tournament goes on with the public 250 years of United States, let's not forget, they will all feel energized about that.
You know, it's amazing. The talent is really great when you watch these things. I went to the game 2 weeks ago, and it was a big upset. But you look at these people; the way they pass it. It's amazing, really amazing. It's a great art, right? It's a great talent.
It is incredible.
You know the expression.
Out of the hat?
This what?
Will you draw the names? The message? Will you?
I don't know. That's
an
he's the boss.
That's an interesting proposal.
He's the boss.
We'll discuss that.
It's going to be great, and I think the American team is going to do well. I mean, I hear it's a very good team. Good luck, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
I was hoping more XRP news or crypto news.
Thank you.
This was sent to me.
We're done. Thank you.
I thought it was a nice photo. Thank you very much.
You guys keep moving.
Thank you. Andre.
Well, I was hoping he would mention more like XRP news and crypto, no crypto questions. So that's what we were waiting for, right? None of that. Still good. Still good for the U.S. economy, though. Hopefully, more crypto markets will pump from this. So yeah, let's check out some other news as well. We do have more on the plan. And that is crypto major announcements today. Again, XRP is changing forever. So this just happened. Look, I wanted to show you guys this.
Believable, but I gotta say I'm not surprised. Here we are, you, me, trying to do the right thing, buying XRP, ISO 222, adding, learning, trying to build in the great crypto world industry, right? Accumulating, and then this garbage drops in 12 hours ago. I didn't even know. I was busy yesterday. Like
so yeah, some other coins pump, but the thing is, how many of these will survive? It's literally XRP that survived for 10 years. That's why I don't report on this channel about other coins. Because I saw what happened in 2021. A lot of coins pumped up to, you know, 130K or whatever you want to call it. And then suddenly all of them dropped, you know, by a large amount. You know, once the bear markets hit.
Accumulating Algorand or Cardano or XRP or whatever, H-bar. Someone just made $10 million. $20 million. And obviously the best people made it.
That's crazy. Like, make it, some whale bought at 281 and, you know, even a 10% gain for them. If they bought $100 million, that's $10 to $20 million. Yeah, that's how crypto markets work. There's big whales on the rise here. And most of the channels don't tell you about this because it's boring stuff. It's boring stuff that the whale is buying. But there is secret transactions happening, guys, that nobody's talking about.
Even more. And you can check here by going to traders, top traders. And you can see P&Ls and all of that. Like, so just to give you an idea.
So yeah, this is a cool thing, but we have to focus on the utility. Like, what's going to be the utility of these new coins that I'm seeing? There has to be something that makes holders stay when the markets get bad. And XRP provides that. XRP set up for its future. That's why I believe in XRP. Personally, again, this is not financial advice.
Pros who watched the 30-minute video I made for you yesterday about Clarity Act, because that's exactly what they're saying. That is a market structure bill. That is what's going to give sense of everything crypto. And it's coming in this fall. Drop a like, everybody. Consider subscribing to the channel. We're super bullish because XRP and all the rest, they're going to pump. When these guys go down and they become obsolete, right? Like Hacktua or any other celebrity coin, guys, that it's just going to be a complete rug pull, basically. Money grab, right? 12 hours ago and look at it right now, I mean, it's just not going to be healthy for sure. And there's people who made a lot of money. You do your research, that's what happens. But I wanted to tell you that I had no clue. I was busy. I was like, as I was about to sleep, I checked and I'm like, oh my. It's on Solana. So by the time I saw it, it was too late. It was already too late.
Market structure bill to the president before the end of the year. Of course, right now that's super important for the US. It wants to be the first in everything. And it needs to be first if it ever wants to, you know, front run the other countries trying to do the same thing.
No way I could have gone in. Now, I want to tell you something. Do you think you should do it, or do you should we buy to those? The only way you are gonna make money is by buying early. If not, right now you just what we call exit liquidity. There's no way this thing continues pumping. I don't see it. It's already on crypto.com. Could you believe it? So they're listing it in more exchanges. But guys, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. So
we had tons of coins like this that never survived, basically.
Links down below, fam. Let me also play this for you. Our great Brian Armstrong saying Bitcoin to $1 million. Check this out, fam.
The rough idea I have in my head is like we'll see $1 million Bitcoin by 2030. And there's high error bars around these things. But, you know, just to give you a couple of data points, right? It's like we're starting to see regulatory clarity emerge in the United States, which I think is a bellwether for the rest of the G20.
That's what I've been calling for. Basically, the government going huge on crypto is the next path to getting crypto and XRP to 100 trillion in total market cap.
The Genius Act passed now for stablecoins, but this market structure bill is being debated in the Senate. Fingers crossed something could happen by the end of this year. That would be a huge milestone. The United States government now has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So that is, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, that would have been kind of like vision board, and someone would have said, you're crazy, like the United States government's not going to officially hold Bitcoin. But if they do that, which there's now an executive order to do, I think a bunch of other countries are going to do that. We've seen
also the Korean markets opening up is basically huge. I fully agree. That is another thing that we haven't been talking about. Wait for all other markets to open up. That's what I'm excited for, really.
The rough idea I have in my head is like we'll see $1 million Bitcoin by 2030. And there's high.
If you think XRP is going to go up because of Bitcoin going to $1 million, then I really recommend you trying this, guys. That they were like.
So yeah, basically you can see here, look at this, 3 to 2.9. Again, these are the new prices. If XRP is going like from this price point, you know, to maybe like if Bitcoin goes to 1 million per coin, XRP will definitely follow and basically go like for the same amount, if not more, at least $10 in my opinion, my personal opinion.
Sign up and start trading. We got a little bit of money here for us to start trading too. You have demo trading. Like if you don't know, but you want to paper trade, give it out, you know, to start testing, come to demo trading. You're going to have roughly 100,000 USDT for you to start playing around and then start getting used to.
So look at this. Sol Strategy disclosed the 400,000 Sol Treasury. Are we going to get an XRP Treasury soon? Those are the rumors. Someone did $20 million, which $20 million is nothing, but they are doing the first push for the first treasury in the world.
And going on, Coinbase adds World Liberty Financial USD1 to its asset roadmap. When I went to Dubai, they were talking about this one nonstop. Eric Trump, which I get it for sure. Circle mints more USDC. MetaMask. Oh, look at that. Another stable coin. It's going to be a lot more stables, guys. Coming in.
I mean, stable coins are what's pushing the crypto, right?
Secures Mika license. There's something going on. Like there's
stable coins are what's really pushing the Mika, the markets. But the Mika license is something that's been happening all around Europe. So this is pretty normal. It's not that scary. They need to do it if they want to operate in Europe, right? So it's not that big of a news. Minted 200 million in USD1, boosting its supply to 2.4 billion. Did someone buy like 200 million preparing for the next launch? Could be.
Good. This is exactly why we buy the dip. What I've been saying in a while, you know, all those dips are gifts. Those who are prepared, like the Crow, like Algorand. I've been adding Algorand for sure. So Right now, we got a good XRP position, Ethereum position, Cardano position. I'm building my Algorand position. You decide, right, if you want to do so, or, you know, give you an idea of, you know, if you're following the channel as a subscriber, just giving you some tips. But reality, guys, I'm just excited that we're building a great foundation.
It definitely means like rate cuts are gonna help with XRP's current price point, because the rate cuts are just like maybe 25% of what's gonna happen in the next 1 to 3 months. It is just maybe 20% of the big news we have today. Now, XRP's 1998 secret. Let's check this out. Look at this. Been watching this channel for some time. This is game changing, guys. Look at this. XRP secret origin story, powerful players at work. And if you guys don't know how XRP started and what its point is, well, then you really should look at this video, because this will basically let you know of how XRP got, you know, to where it is today, and what its goal is really, why it will reach $15. You know, in order to reach $15, it needs to do something in the market. So look at that. I really love Sam Trades, because
people at play that are causing new information about XRP's creation dating all the way back to 1988 to surface. And in that document, it connects David Schwartz.
So 1988 document about XRP. That is some next level stuff.
Was a CTO of Ripple. So if this information is true, XRP's story did not start in 2010. It was engineered decades earlier. And what we're about to uncover could change how we see XRP's role in global finance forever. So yesterday, the first document that surfaced was a patent for XRP, specifically to be used for financial services, providing secure payment.
This is what I told you guys. I feel like this is from 2013, right? This is 10 years in the making. They are preparing to go fully legal with this stuff, not just being another meme coin. This is from 1988, David Schwartz patent surfaces, right? First use, why is it saying here 2013 though? Is it from 1990? Because it's filed in 2013, but I guess 1988 is mentioned. So 2013, 12 years ago, they did it before even when just crypto started. So just so you know, this is not just another crypto coin. It didn't like start growing this year, XRP. It started growing since 2013. Again, XRP has been building for 13 years. You guys mostly didn't see it yet, which is totally fine. That's why I'm explaining this to you.
Options to members of an online community via a global computer network, which is XRP's use case. But today, another document came out, and this is another patent. But what strikes out is the date of the patent, which is 1991, and it was filed on August 25, 1988. And we can see David Schwartz's name over here. And essentially what this patent is the design behind the XRP blockchain. So very important, it's not for XRP. It is a technology behind XRP. So a user asked whether or not this document is legitimate, and Grok answers stating that yes, the document appears to be a legitimate United States patent. We have the patent number over here. To invent.
But literally in the patent, it says that the patent is from 2013. So it literally says, but here date of patent is 1991. So the computer systems, they kind of predicted this for like last 30 years. And I'm not too surprised, because if you want to like go over your competitors, you have to first get a patent, right? So somebody doesn't take your idea. And this is it, XRP here. The first, you know, origin.
Way similar to XRP. Gemini the exchange tweeted, prepare your bags.
Prepare your bags,
and we
XRP.
See XRP.
I feel like there's going to be an XRP MasterCard, which makes total sense compared to how much, you know, volume it gets. This is very common, actually. So it's going to be just like a crypto card that Gemini is going to use. And probably you're going to be charged some fees, but you can sell your XRP for the card.
Credit card over here. Not only that, but they also replied to this tweet stating could be big.
With just how much volume, how much money is in XRP, it makes total sense. But like these people, you know, they don't still realize what XRP is.
So on August 25th, the XRP MasterCard is dropping with the help of Gemini. But there's even more. Ripple and SBI plan to distribute RLUSD in Japan. So one thing about Japan.
So yeah, pretty much XRP is going worldwide, not just in US, guys. That's another factor. Is XRP has been getting partnerships first outside of US. That's what people forgot to mention. Because of all the lawsuits, they could not make partnerships in the USA. Now they can make the partnerships in USA. That's why they got so many partnerships last year. So yeah, very bullish news overall.
And they are heavily adopting XRP, and they plan on at least adopting 80% of XRP in their banking systems by 2030. So SBI Holdings is one of the country's largest financial groups and has been a vocal proponent of XRP. Its CEO has publicly stated that all Japanese banks may begin using XRP for transactions by 2025, emphasizing its real-world utility for international remittance and cross-border payments. 80% of Japanese banks set to adopt Ripple's XRP by 20.
I feel like it's very clear that it's not just XRP cryptos going for, the thing we have right now. It's not just US coins, expanding in the USA, they're expanding around the world. It's not just US banks, having these partnerships. It's everyone around the world is what I'm trying to say here.
2025. So Japan is on the verge of significant banking transformation, as almost 80% of the country's banks are looking forward to...
Like Japan needs cheap transactions too. The transactions there are probably very expensive.
Adopting XRP into their system in 2025. So this is huge. The total valuation of the Japanese banking system sits at $17 trillion. And if XRP is to have an 80% foothold in the Japanese banking system, that would mean $13 trillion in liquidity coming to XRP, which is...
I feel like a lot of people forget that Japan and Korea are very rich countries that are going to be working with XRP. That's a lot of money coming in.
Is massive. So the total assets of banks in Japan were approximately 17 trillion US dollars in 2023. So this is just the Japanese banking system. What about the US? So the United States primarily relies on the SWIFT banking system to send out wire transfers globally. And the SWIFT network facilitates a vast volume of international financial transactions. It handles approximately 5 trillion in money transfers per day, which amounts to about 1.25 quadrillion annually. And Brad Garlinghouse has stated in an interview he believes XRP will at least have a 14% foothold in the SWIFT network, which would equate to about $1 trillion in money transfers every day.
Now that's a lot of competition for SWIFT, right? And SWIFT is a very big market. It isn't like the biggest top 5 by market cap in total. So again, this is a very, very big market in terms of money. Nobody knows about this because nobody cares about, payment transfers. Everybody cares about like new shoes or Amazon. There's so much money in banks and sending transfers. And that's why a lot of these whales bought XRP at 20 cents.
For XRP. So Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has stated that XRP could capture 14% of SWIFT's global cross-border payment volume within the next 5 years. So he projected that it will reach this by 2030. So we gotta wonder, why is XRP's price down even though all of this good information is coming? The SEC dropped their case. Japan is stating that they want at least a 80% adoption of XRP in their banking systems, which equates to about $13 trillion. And XRP is on track to take over 14% of SWIFT's platform by 2030. And all of these documents coming out, laying down the foundation for XRP, really raises some questions. So Cathie Woods has some important information.
I feel like it's very important to say also that the whales are selling right now because they're just following the markets, right? The whales are going to sell when they make the most money.
To share about digital assets, and I'll explain to you how this can potentially impact XRP.
We just learned from one of the founders of Tether, Paolo, that they had no idea that Tether would become an important source of dollar exposure to emerging markets until COVID, when the children of in families in emerging markets would go to their parents and say, you don't have to go into the black market today to buy dollars. We can do this on the internet. And that's how it really spread, which is fascinating, isn't it?
You heard what she said. You don't have to go to the market to purchase dollars. You could just do it on the internet. Now, what does that mean? Families in emerging markets which basically means people from other countries that are underdeveloped are getting more and more into cryptocurrency, specifically XRP. So if you look at this chart over here,
a lot of these countries will profit from low payment transfers. Again, these are the countries that will really feel the effect, because maybe $1 is not a lot in the US, but sending $1 in payment transfer fees in these developing countries is much, like 10 times much hitting hard, you know? So when they want to send the transfer to a family member, if $1 gets sent, that might be like 1/100th of their wage or 1/300th of their wage. While in US, it might just be a fraction of what we pay for a coffee.
it is a map of Africa, and all of these countries have adopted XRP, which include Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, and the list goes on. And the reason as to why they're doing this is because their national currency is getting heavily inflated, so they can no longer rely on it. Some of these countries have inflation rates up to 25%. So if you have $100, the next year it's only going to be 75. And each year it just keeps on compounding, resulting in massive losses to inflation. XRP plans to solve that problem, and they are currently doing that.
We thought Bitcoin would serve that role because we didn't know about stablecoins. And even very recently, I think we're becoming very...
Also fair to say that's why RWA's real world assets are starting, because literally for that reason, people want to invest in the dollar because it's not going to get hit by inflation, especially now that the dominance is low. If the dollar dominance gets back up, they're going to be holding the dollars basically in these real world assets, or tokenized dollars, as we can call it. It's going to be something that, you know, also XRP is building.
Surprised at how quickly the uptake of stablecoins is. So I think the much bigger force right now is it's the gateway into digital assets for institutional. It's a new asset class. That and the really substitute for gold as a store of value.
So Bitcoin is seen as a store of value, and it's not practical for international transfers if you're doing it on a very large scale. So in terms of institutions adopting Bitcoin into their payment systems, that is very not likely to occur because there's other options such as XRP, which is very low in fees and payments are instantaneous. However, if a bank was to adopt Bitcoin into their payment systems and they're sending over 1,000 transactions globally, and each transaction could take upwards of an hour, it's really going to hurt the bank, since it's going to take a lot of time for those transactions to go through. And what we're seeing is more and more countries adopting stablecoins and XRP. We can see over here, Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin has experienced significant adoption growth, surpassing a market capitalization of 600 million.
The regulatory environment is very important here. We've gone from a hostile regulatory regime under Gensler at the SEC to a very, very friendly regime now, with legislation guiding regulators instead of regulation through enforcement, which was forcing innovation off U.S. shores to other countries. And now that's changing aggressively, especially appointing David Sachs, the czar for both crypto and AI.
So the ongoing case,
it's going to be cheaper to send transactions around the world,
with XRP and the SEC has been dropped. There's finally been a resolution to the case, which has opened the floodgates for institutional adoption and also ETFs to get incorporated with XRP. Yet at the current moment, XRP's price is slightly under $3, or around the $3 mark, simply by all of the volume and liquidity that is going to come into XRP in the coming months. I do not imagine it will still be trading at $3. It will be a lot higher.
Over the last...
I mean, that happened also with the lawsuit. You could buy XRP for 20 cents. There is risk, of course, in the market. And now the market is pumping, but once people realize the true potential, XRP price could be undertapped. That's literally what happened with XRP when it was 20 cents and people did not buy it.
30, 40 years, because we didn't have the payments layer. We needed to, and because financial services and commerce did migrate onto the internet in a very big way, the traditional world had to mitigate the risk of putting credit cards online and, you know, trying to use traditional financial tools in this internet world. And all of the intermediaries involved have been taking anywhere from 2 to 3.5% out of each transaction, paid for mitigating the risk.
That's a lot. 2 to 3% is a lot of money. Like for transactions, come on, that's XRP is gonna do it for 0.001%. Does the math add up? 2%, 0.1%?
That is a direct reference to the Swift platform. There's two reasons as to why a Swift platform is not practical and XRP will take over. One, it is heavy in fees. They take a percentage. And two, it is so slow to send over a wire transfer globally. It takes upward of 5 days. XRP plans to solve that problem through its instant payments and low fees that are fractions of a penny that are burned. So all things said, there are some big things happening with XRP right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it does play out. Honestly,
it's going to take like a millisecond to send a payment transfer anyway. Let's see what Michael Saylor or Brad Garlinghouse leaked. This is a leak that came in XRP crypto. Brad Garlinghouse accidentally leaked XRP's $100 future. Let's check that out. I really like these videos overall.
Garlinghouse has unleashed the floodgates for XRP in this interview at the banking summit, and not a single person has noticed.
I mean, XRP pretty much is pushing for $100 through utility. That's what I like to see. So if we have like, you know, $3 right now, if it's $30, that's a 10x. And $30, $20, it's not that insane. It's basically if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, then XRP is going to follow with it, right? It's going to take over what Bitcoin's market cap is now today.
Also have a mysterious document from the United States government on XRP.
My name is Brad Garlinghouse. I'm the CEO of Ripple. Ripple has approximately 900 employees across our 15 offices worldwide. We were founded.
That's what I was watching also live. Ripple's mission, you know, this was live with the government. That's what I wanted to add. This is talking to the government, and a lot of people agreed with him. They're live on air.
More than a decade ago with a mission to enable the Internet of Value, a world where money moves like information does today.
Think of how many billionaires were watching this.
We build software products that power cross-border payments, stablecoins, and digital custody. Ripple helps financial institutions reduce friction, unlock efficiencies, and serve their customers better. These are not abstract concepts. We work every day with banks that rely on our technology to deliver real results in the global economy. Ripple leverages the XRP ledger, a decentralized, battle-tested, open-source blockchain, as well as its native digital asset, XRP, to facilitate payments. XRP is built to enable fast, low-cost, and highly scalable transactions.
So institutional adoption of XRP is actually happening faster than that of Bitcoin. So we can see here institutional adoption of XRP is currently happening faster than that of Bitcoin, primarily due to XRP's specific utility in financial infrastructure. XRP's design is to focus on enabling fast, low-cost cross-border transactions, making this a preferred choice for financial institutions and also just companies in general. What this allows is for companies to have liquidity and also revenue. When they use Bitcoin, it slows down the process and can actually hurt the company. So when companies use Bitcoin, they're actually using it as a store of value. But if companies want to scale their business, they use the XRP ledger. What he says next makes everything make sense.
From the start,
so yeah, Bitcoin is always going to be known, you know, to not have extra added utility. But during the bear markets, that utility really comes in handy because Ripple will not be forced to sell its tokens if they have all these bank partnerships and the income from bank partnerships. It's not going to force them to have to sell their own XRP. That's the thing. They had to sell the XRP for the lawsuit. They don't have to do that anymore, which in turn creates bigger markets, right? It makes total sense.
Made the deliberate choice to work with policymakers and regulators, not around them.
He's basically saying he wants to go fully legal with crypto or their own coin, XRP, Ripple. They want to go even public, which means you have to have all the documents open.
We have taken a compliance-first approach, operating with over 60 payment, service, crypto, and money transmitter licenses domestically and globally. With regard to the topic of this hearing, we believe smart legislation should be based on several core principles. Consumers need protection from fraud and scams. Markets need proper oversight. Bad actors need to be kept in check. and innovation must thrive. A constructive and workable framework for digital assets and stablecoins that achieves these goals will expand access to financial markets, create jobs, strengthen the economy, and put the U.S. on the path to being a global blockchain and crypto leader. For the last decade, the legal and regulatory uncertainty surrounding crypto has prohibited meaningful progress in the US.
I'm going to explain to you why XRP can reach $100 by 2030, and this is a conservative estimate. We know the SEC case was holding XRP down, but now that's out the way.
And also, yeah, a lot of it was available and was bought up by whales. That's the thing. So much was bought up by whales. We are now finally seeing XRP going back up, which is absolutely amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. We do have more, available updates now as well, more utility than we even have before the lawsuit. So back then it was uncertain. Now a lot of people are calling for 1 million Bitcoin is bound to happen. It's like almost guaranteed. Again, not financial advice, but a lot of these billionaires are saying for 1 billion Bitcoin. What happens when Bitcoin reaches 1 billion? The whole markets follow.
Opens the floodgates for so much more.
200 billion, and they haven't had that DeFi moment yet. And I think this is the first time I'll say it, but I think XRP is heading to $1,000 by 2030. So for me, it's, a super important project, and actually probably one of the most important projects out there at the moment.
Okay, so this guy thinks XRP can go to $1,000. I personally do not think that's going to happen by 2030, but it is possible way out in the future. And the reason as to why he's
$1,000 is going to be hard. But the thing is, XRP burns on the XRP ledger. When more banks started using it, we will get also more coin burns. That's the difference. This is a very strong price point a lot of people don't understand. Is the power of burns can literally lower supply, which in turn, with more demand, you have like supply going down, price going up. It's that simple because there's less supply of XRP. And it depends how much we get burns, but that is definitely going to help XRP reach $100. It worked with other coins.
Stated XRP did not have its DeFi moment yet is because XRP had years of court. Essentially what Brad Garlinghouse is saying. Okay, so how do we come to a $100 valuation for XRP? At current day, XRP's market cap is sitting at $174 billion. Now the current platform that the banks are using is a Swift value transfer system. And on this system, $5 trillion in transactions per day are performed, which equates to about 1.25 quadrillion annually based on around 250 business days. So this is just the banking system. Brad Garlinghouse has stated by the year 2030, he believes that XRP will take over at least 14% of Swift's payment system. And that would equate to about $1 trillion in transactions per day on just the XRP ledger. And this is specifically for banks. Now imagine if every company got integrated into the XRP ledger.
Ripple was the tip of the...
So I don't think every company will get integrated XRP ledger. They cannot handle that yet. But XRP taking even 40% of Swift, that is major supply burn. Probably millions being burned every single month. Just let that sink in. And yeah, banks are, the main burner here, but there's probably going to be other transactions, payments for employees on that ledger.
Here, this regulation by enforcement campaign, it was subject to an enforcement action in 2020. We were the first leading U.S. company to be sued by the SEC. We and many others understood that a loss here would be a death knell for the industry. Fortunately, after 4 years of a hard-fought legal battle, we prevailed. The court ruled in our favor on everything that mattered, including finding that the token XRP is not, in and of itself, a security. Our victory cleared the path for other market participants to fight back. Despite these headwinds, Ripple still prioritizes education and engagement with policymakers and regulators globally. For companies to have the confidence to continue doing business in the United States, Congress should focus on passing principled and smart legislation with these critical goals in mind. First, set clear jurisdictional boundaries for our main financial regulators. Second, establish pathways for companies to build in the U.S. without sacrificing investor or consumer protections. And third, ensure that the U.S. can be a global leader in crypto by taking full advantage of the benefits and efficiencies brought by digital assets and blockchain technologies. The U.S. possesses the world's deepest capital markets, the most advanced technical talent, and a spirit of innovation that has powered our nation since its founding. There is no reason we should not be the undisputed leader in digital assets and blockchain. Over 55 million Americans participate in the crypto economy today, equating to over a $3.3 trillion market cap. A smart regulatory framework for crypto market structure is essential to realize that future and is overdue. Speaking on behalf of the crypto industry, I urge you to prioritize the passage of market structure legislation for digital assets through this committee and the full Senate, to provide the rules and regulations needed to ensure that the U.S. becomes the crypto capital of the world. Once market structure legislation for digital assets becomes law in the United States, this will catalyze a new era of U.S. competitiveness and unlock efficiencies in financial transactions, dramatically helping consumers and businesses alike. Ripple hopes to see this become a reality, and we look forward to working with you to help make this happen.
So he's basically inviting governments to work with Ripple, which is like a very, very nice work overall. Literally what he's saying, you can work with us if you want, on live, on air.
To your questions.
So the floodgates for XRP have been opened. The Genius Bill has been passed, which is establishing a legal framework for all cryptocurrencies. And this is something that's going to span on for several years as they continue to revise it and adapt it, allowing America to have a foothold in crypto. And this is everything that XRP needs. But things are about to get a lot more interesting. So an unknown document has been revealed showing that the United States of America has already patented XRP and has classified it as a payment method for financial services.
I feel like it's pretty clear that they're going to be using XRP in some way. And they made it very vocal, but nobody's talking about this part. Like, if we are having this type of news and it's not even announced yet, this is probably not yet priced in. Like when XRP is ready, they're going to probably announce this, but this was registered in 2013 with the United States. That's why they needed to not be a security, because everything would fail if they lost the lawsuit.
So if we look at this document, the main thing that stands out is this section over here. So this patent came out and was registered on December 31st of 2013. And at that time, XRP was going by the name of Altcoin, and it states for financial services, very important financial services, namely providing secure payment options to members of an online community via a global computer network through the use of traditional currency and virtual currency in class 36. So it's not just a patent for the name, it's a patent for its use case. And this is just now surfacing. So the floodgates for XRP are opening, and things are about to change very quickly. Also, make sure that you guys join BTCC to earn free XRP. So if you deposit...
So I feel like you get the point across. XRP has some aces up its bag, if I can say it like that. You know, even millionaires are talking about XRP. Of course, they know what's about to happen. We saw it many, many years ago when the bank transfers were so expensive, like $30 for a bank transfer. That's the thing that XRP is trying to solve. It's not trying to push the banks out. It's trying to work with them and show them the new path. XRP, Michael Saylor just reached a new future, just leaked an XRP secret future, and there's like an interview. So Michael Saylor surprising XRP comment. This is very shocking, actually.
Taylor just says something about XRP unknowingly that could change the entire crypto market, and no one is talking about it.
Every company, look, every family on earth should adopt the Bitcoin standard, right? What is that, 1 billion families? Yeah. Every person on earth should adopt the Bitcoin standard.
Isn't like Bitcoin already becoming a legal tender in some countries? So what if XRP is going to be, you know, the main thing? I don't feel like it needs to be legal tender, but it needs to be used in its own way for the banks. It's probably going to be owned by many more people than 3 to 5 million people we have right now.
That's 8 billion people. Every company on earth should adopt the Bitcoin standard. That's 400 million companies. Is there anything I can do that's better than that? Well, there are a lot of other twists to it. If all of these companies are competing to do something, the issue is what's the something? And it depends on the company. So I think we're very early. I mean, not even 0.1% of companies are doing this, right?
Actually, it's 0.006% of companies own XRP right now. I went to fact check this, and about probably even less. Was that for whole crypto? So maybe 0.00002% own XRP because of the regulation, guys. The Crypto Clarity Act is what we need to get pushed out for actually companies to start buying in.
You're a private company and you're raising $10 million in order to fund operating losses, you could just raise 50 million and buy 40 million of Bitcoin and fund 10 million in operating losses. And I would definitely recommend that. That's better, right?
This is important. Institutional adoption of XRP is currently happening faster than that of Bitcoin. And this is primarily due to XRP's specific utility and financial infrastructure. We know that XRP's design is to focus on enabling fast and low cost cross-border transactions on a global scale. XRP's main objective is to get integrated into the banking system and also get integrated into companies. They're going to need a system that's going to allow them to send wire transfers all around globally instantly. Right now,
it's just going to save them a lot of money and make everything cheaper for them as well.
The current platform that they're using is Swift. So Bitcoin's institutional adoption is actually happening slower than XRP.
If you're launching a company, a Bitcoin treasury company in Japan, your odds are higher than if you're launching that same company in Venezuela. What's the alternative? You know, you're holding Egyptian pounds in your treasury. So every single Egyptian company that adopts the Bitcoin standard will be more successful than if it didn't, right?
Okay, so what does a company rely on? A company relies on revenue, instant cash flow. So in terms of what Michael Saylor is saying, Bitcoin is used as a store of value. Companies are not going to use Bitcoin in terms of transfers globally because it simply takes too long. It takes upward of an hour to send a transaction globally using Bitcoin. And that's why XRP is getting institutional adoption, because it's fast. It makes sense. It allows for companies and banks to scale their revenue. That is the whole purpose of XRP.
The whole point of XRP is actually for the banks to save money. They're obviously going to pay XRP a fee to use their platform, to use XRP Ledger, but they're going to save so much money that they're now paying Swift or any other of these bank transfers that it just makes sense for them, right? They're going to still save maybe like 50 million a year by using XRP. Even if they have to burn like 0.3% of XRP, they will have the utility, they will have the tools, even creating their own central bank digital currencies for much easier than it ever is before.
How are you going to scale a company's revenue with Bitcoin when it's so slow?
If you're the first company in Japan to adopt the Bitcoin standard and you grow rapidly and you generate a lot of capital, then not only do you have the most compelling BTC-backed equity in the Japanese capital market, you can have the most compelling BTC credit instruments. Well, there's trillions of dollars in Japan, right? So how many companies in Japan can do that? Well, not every company can be the Amazon of capital markets.
So yeah, Bitcoin is going to do its own thing and XRP is going to do all the transfers, which Bitcoin cannot do. Everybody's saying Bitcoin is going to work with the banks. Bitcoin cannot work with the banks. That's what XRP's point is. I don't feel like XRP will ever overcome Bitcoin, but it does not have to. Each of these coins with utility are going to do its utility for its own thing. They're not going to dominate every single sector. Bitcoin will be always used as the digital gold, and XRP will be always used for fast, easy payment processing.
Japan, but at least one can be.
Smash that like as well.
Big banks and companies in Japan are embracing XRP, not Bitcoin, for global payments. We can see over here 80% of Japanese banks set to embrace XRP for global payments by 2025. So industry leaders such as the CEO of CBI Group are strongly backing XRP and its potential to streamline cross-border transactions. And you guys might be wondering, what is the market cap of SBI? Their market cap is 91 billion. So the CEO of SBI stated, real demand for XRP is key to its long-term success, emphasizing and contrasting it with Bitcoin, which he believes lacks inherent value. And this leaves the question, what is Bitcoin's use case in terms of institutional adoption?
If I give you a company making 100 million a year and they adopt Bitcoin and they start buying 100 million worth of Bitcoin, they'll be 10x better. If they borrow $1 billion, they'll be 100x better. If they manage to launch in a two market, they'll be 1,000x better. If they screw it up, they won't. Would you invest $500 million of Bitcoin into a company losing 100 million a year that intended to keep losing it? Probably not, right? The Bitcoin treasury company movement is traditional companies trading in the public markets that have adopted the Bitcoin standard. It's not crypto companies.
Okay, so Michael Saylor is not saying it directly, but these companies are buying Bitcoin as a store of value. So in 2025,
and corporations haven't even started buying yet. So can you be more bullish? Literally, XRP reached $3.3 before the corporations came in because of the Crypto Clarity Act that's coming in September.
Significant use case for Bitcoin among companies is its integration into corporate treasury reserves. And for why? As a strategic asset for long-term value preservation and inflation hedging. So companies are adopting Bitcoin to hedge against the devaluation of fiat currencies, specifically the dollar. Now let me explain to you why XRP has a better use case in terms of getting integrated into companies. Consistent revenue is vital for a company's long-term success and sustainability. It serves as a primary indicator of financial health and stability, signaling to investors and stakeholders that the business is capable of generating reliable income over time. So XRP's use case is to expedite global transfers due to its instant payment system. Right now, a lot of companies are using the Swift platform, which is heavy in fees and is also very slow. It takes up to 5 days to send over a transfer globally. Companies...
It also takes like $3, $5. That's like they have to send one XRP. Now it takes like maybe 20 cents, but in some countries it takes like $3 to send a transfer. That's one XRP you have to send each time to send the money.
Will be able to scale their revenue by using the XRP ledger. Okay, so what companies have adopted XRP? We see American Express, Bank of America, both of which are banks. We have MoneyTap, Santander, Western Union, Bank of Thailand. We also have Amazon Web Services.
So very big banks are working with XRP, and also the smaller banks are joining in. It makes total sense for them. Again, who's gonna save most money on this? The small banks or the big banks? The big banks, of course, because they have trillions and trillions of transfers coming through and out. So a key partner is testing Ripple solutions to make payment systems better. Use RippleNet to simplify global payments. They use Ripple in some way or another.
So why are they adopting XRP? Rapid transaction speed, affordability, efficiency, scalability, and cross-border payment solutions. But the name of the game is on-demand liquidity. XRP bridges fiat currencies to enable faster and cost-effective transactions. Bitcoin is not capable of doing this. It is simply too slow. If you have 1,000 transactions that are happening within a day and it takes upward of an hour to send over a global transfer on Bitcoin, it's going to be very difficult for company A to scale in value. So Michael Saylor is unknowingly promoting XRP's use case. And it's going to take time before XRP is globally adopted.
Michael Saylor has always been calling Bitcoin as a digital gold, never as a payment system. Some coins, like, we have HBAR, XRP, one of them is gonna be the main leader, and of course by the market cap, that is XRP for the fast payment transfers. This is what we've been waiting for, guys, and we have it here. They are trying to transfer this. They're trying to focus on this thing. They're not trying to beat big Bitcoin. They're just trying to be the next big thing for what the banks need. Again, the richest people are looking for this solution for years, and the technology couldn't solve it. But now with XRP being out there, they can finally resolve all these things and fix it.
But it's happening very fast. So although XRP is currently sitting at $3 today, it will not surprise me by the end of the year if XRP is trading at $10. And I think XRP is going to reach $10 by early next year. If we look at the Bitcoin cycle repeat chart, essentially it's a graph of Bitcoin combined with an analysis of all previous trajectories from the past, and it gives you a prediction of where Bitcoin is headed. So currently we are at a market top, and Bitcoin is expected to reach around 160K before dropping a lot all the way down to 90K. So this is all a prediction. But in this area, when Bitcoin drops, what I expect to happen is everyone's going to take their money out of Bitcoin and they're going to start to invest into altcoins that have an actual use case. So
that's named Bitcoin dominance dropping, guys. If you do not know, is when Bitcoin drops compared to other altcoins and they go into the altcoin market. Now, the most important factor here is as well, I don't think we're going to see $10 by the end of the year. We also have February, we have March, but $7 is not that unrealistic. XRP already went 6x. Can it go 1x? Yes, it definitely can in my opinion, but again, we could be wrong, could go to 10.
XRP has laid down the fundamentals. They are getting adopted globally, and we also had that SEC case get dropped, so nothing is holding back XRP.
Now XRP with the no lawsuit case can go its own path. It doesn't need to, wait and see what happens. It is literally it's untapped market. Like, there's no ceiling in this way.
XRP. So a storm is coming, and Michael Saylor just signaled it. Also, make sure that you guys join BTCC to earn free XRP. So if you deposit $500 or more, they will match you. So if you deposit 500, they'll.
So yeah, you get a pretty clear idea on what's happening with XRP. Katie Wood's XRP warning: this changes everything. I'll be right back, guys. Give me a minute.
Ahead of the gold price, so that is one reason. But I think the other reason is we weren't in a financial collapse. We were like 08, 09, and the banking system was or the counterparty risk in the banking system was not called into question. Bitcoin did act more as a risk-off asset. A risk-on asset in the market's recent correction. It behaved like the NASDAQ, unlike gold. But we believe that it was just correcting to this trend line because the Bitcoin price went up so much more than the gold price last year. So we think that this trend line will continue to move up if we're right that we're moving back into a risk-on environment.
So the chart that Kathy Wood is referencing to is a Bitcoin to gold ratio. And basically this chart displays how many ounces of gold do you need to purchase just one Bitcoin. And when we look at this chart back in 2016, to purchase one Bitcoin, you'd only need half an ounce of gold. But now we fast forward.
Isn't this same chart like with XRP as well? So now you see you need 36 gold to buy Bitcoin. Same thing with XRP. You could get so much XRP before, but now it's getting more expensive, and like gold is getting outperformed by cryptos. Like, that is why more people are buying XRP, because they know it is going up on higher returns.
All the way to 2025, and you need 35 ounces of gold just to purchase one Bitcoin, which of course is positive news for XRP and the overall cryptocurrency market.
We're being set up here for some important surprises to the upside, as many strategists and economists worry that we're heading into a recession. We'll be talking more and more about the productivity-driven recovery that will spell the end of the rolling recession.
CNBC just reported.
Now it's happening. The world is less in what we see right now. The most of the world is productive, which it wasn't 3 years ago. And finally, XRP can show its true price potential because of this. Like 3 years ago, you couldn't even find a job because it was hard to be productive. But now Ripple, has over 1,000 employees, 900 employees. It's absolutely insane how big they've grown as a company. They were talking with Donald Trump in dinner.
Live that the major exchange Gemini has filed to go public on NASDAQ with the help of Ripple.
So I feel like this is going to be one of the big partnerships we're going to see. And like, this is one of the biggest partnerships in terms of money of 2025, guys. Gemini is one of the biggest crypto exchanges. Again, these have unlimited money, guys. So it's definitely good news for anyone watching this.
And here's the video.
Cryptocurrency exchange Gemini's space station filing for its IPO and joining a wave of digital asset firms seeking to tap into public markets. The company, founded back in 2014 by billionaire twins Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, it plans to list on the NASDAQ.
Look, all of these crypto players are in front of a Trump speech, are sitting in front. Does this tell you anything? Trump invited all the big crypto players when he signed the Clarity Act.
Right here under the ticker symbol GEMI. Terms of that offering were not disclosed in a filing that was made public on Friday. The company.
So the Winklevoss twins, if you guys ever seen the Facebook movie, they were in it. And essentially Mark Zuckerberg did pay him like just millions of dollars because they had a lawsuit with Mark Zuckerberg. And what they did with that money is they created their own cryptocurrency exchange, which is now Gemini. And they purchased so much Bitcoin and they are billionaires now. So of course, them filing to go public on the NASDAQ with the help of Ripple is massive. This is a huge partnership. And Ripple posted, congrats to @Bullish on a successful IPO. A portion of the IPO proceeds were settled in RLUSD. Crazy. So Ripple is...
I think they were working like many years together. They just didn't announce it. Like Gemini and Ripple. Just last week, we had a $200 million deal. Now we have this. It is definitely very good news for anyone in XRP Army, because this is just one of the many partnerships. Like Ripple has hands everywhere.
Profiting off of this. Minted on the XRP ledger, this is the first public listing to bring the settlement process on chain and sets a precedent for how stablecoins can shape future listings. Now listen to what David Schwartz and also Brad Garlinghouse have to say about their predictions on XRP and how it will take 14% of Swift's transactions within the next 5 years. So if you don't know what Swift is, it is currently the current system that is incorporated into the banks in order to process payments.
Swift is what you use anytime you send a transfer for food to a friend. When you send a bank transfer, it's using Swift because it's dominating. It has no competition, but we are looking like it takes a day, and XRP wants to do that in 1 second.
And it's a terrible platform. It takes up to 5 days to send over a wire transfer, and it's heavy in fees. And XRP plans to solve that problem and take over Swift.
The many hundreds of billions of dollars of tokenized real world assets fairly quickly.
In 5 years. 5 years, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
it's for a dumb reason.
Swift today, there's two ways to about Swift. There's a messaging, and there's liquidity. Liquidity is owned by banks. I think less about the messaging and more about liquidity. You're driving on the liquidity, that's good for XRP. Yeah, so, also 5 years, 14%.
14% is...
So he called for 14%, which is $2 trillion a day with the XRP. Again, $2 trillion a day means that this is going to be a huge burn incoming for XRP overall, right? It's going to be a very big burn potential.
Huge. If Ripple takes half the market space of Swift, it will transact around $2 trillion a day. Ripple can't transact $2 trillion a day with XRP if the entire market cap of XRP...
The issue with this is Ripple cannot do $2 trillion right now. It still doesn't have the development. So they still need to develop and get XRP to price to $100 if they actually want to have that type of liquidity to move the Ripple systems. Like $2 trillion a day is going to be harder than you guys think unless the price goes up of XRP.
XRP is in the billions. It would need a multi-trillion market cap. So 14% in 5 years is about maybe $1 trillion worth of transactions every day. Imagine that. That would put XRP's market cap potentially in the trillions. So XRP is made for institutional transfers, essentially transfers between banks to banks. And it's also great for peer-to-peer transfers. And this is all on a global scale. We know that Michael Saylor is a huge shill for Bitcoin. Look at what he said. He said, I'm starting to have second thoughts about this whole Bitcoin thing. Is it too late to switch to XRP?
So now I'm not sure if this is real because guys on Twitter, a lot of the stuff is not real. So I cannot double check that, but that would be that, like, it does not look super real, to be honest. It would be very funny. Just like fact check everything. That's the thing I want to say. I feel like Michael Saylor wouldn't post that because he's very pro-Bitcoin. His entire company is about pro-Bitcoin. So why would he post about XRP? I mean, he likes XRP, maybe, probably, but he's always going to be sticking with Bitcoin. I don't think this would be terrible for his shareholders. Like, I feel like this would shareholders would sell.
Is it too late to switch to XRP? So disclaimer, obviously not a real tweet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts tweeting like this in the future.
I don't think he will ever tweet this. He makes entire money from Bitcoin, like being only Bitcoin. If he tweets something like that, his stock would crash. So yeah, it's pretty obvious this will not be posted ever. But some else key players, you know, we got like other crypto players for Ethereum. If we can get a crypto treasury for XRP, we already got 20 million. This is where the big money would be coming in, right?
Bitcoin can take upwards of an hour for a global transfer to another bank. And banks have over 1,000 transactions that they perform within a single day. So how long would it take for 1,000 transactions to go through globally if it takes upward of an hour using Bitcoin? The next era of rewards is preparing to launch. And when you look at this tweet, we have the X, the R, and P. XRP. So we see that partnership with XRP, and they're clearly hinting at it. Now let's listen to what Donald Trump...
This partnership was for a long time anyway. We were waiting for this partnership with Gemini. I feel like it's the last 10-year partnership. They can unveil it now because the markets are pumping back up. So who knows? Like, they just unveiled the new XRP card, which you can sell your XRP for the crypto. It's amazing.
Jr. has to say about crypto. We know that he is one of the co-founders of World Liberty Finance with the help of Donald Trump.
Crypto is going to be the future of finance. Yeah. Okay. We were doing everything imaginable in the prior administration to send that to other places. People want to be in America. They want to invest in America. They want that stability. What they needed is some guide rails. They needed a framework in which they could work, even for us, in the crypto platforms that we were developing, whether it was American Bitcoin, whether it's World Liberty Financial. We didn't get into that because we knew all that much about crypto. We got into it out of necessity because we were getting debanked. There wasn't a person in this city that I couldn't call and get a loan for a real estate project a few short years ago. Then we became Politica, and all of a sudden you're persona non grata. So crypto's the future. To be able to have the legislation, to create those guardrails, to be able to keep that industry. This is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and it should be based here in America. America should get the tax benefits of all of that. They should.
That's what I'm telling you. Literally, Eric Trump saying that crypto is going to be the future in U.S. That's what I've been calling, guys.
Have the innovation, the growth. That's strategic thinking, and so I'm super excited about that bill because I think it's going to really make sure that America is the home of crypto and blockchain technology for the future.
Obviously, the bill that he is referencing to is the Genius Bill, which is establishing a framework for all cryptocurrencies. This is a massive bill, and it's something that's going to span on for several years to create the framework that we need for crypto. Very important piece of legislation. It's going to give XRP and Ripple, which is the company behind XRP, the framework that they need to be well established into the cryptocurrency space. We know the ongoing case that XRP did have with the SEC, the one that got dropped, went on for several years. If the Genius Bill had existed, that would have never happened to XRP. 2025 has been a huge year for crypto. We have seen so many huge legislative changes for crypto. It has become well established.
I feel like the biggest effect will be 2026, 2027, because these are the parts, like, it takes 1 to 2 years to get into effect. Everybody's hyping you up now, but this is because we're preparing for the biggest market update ever to happen.
And if we fast forward 5 years at 2030, where will crypto be? Where will XRP be? Where will Bitcoin be? I think the overall cryptocurrency market will have a valuation of tens of trillions, and that is not a reach. The banking system, in terms of total assets managed, is in the hundreds of trillions. And that is not a random...
Going from 4 trillion to 22 trillion in crypto is not that hard because it's super new market. Going from 22 trillion to 100 trillion is going to be harder than, going from 1 trillion to 4 trillion. But with more money, XRP providing more utility, it could become, not starting to follow Bitcoin's price, but going on its own.
Number that I just threw out, 2022, the total value of bank assets worldwide was over $183 trillion. And this is globally. Of course, what we know about XRP is that it works on a global scale. So we could see a lot of money coming into XRP within the next 5 years. And here are some of the banks that are already using XRP. We can see SBI Holdings, Santander, PNC Bank, and these banks have a valuation of...
So they're using different use cases. Look, you can actually see when we're talking about partnerships, you can actually pause the video or rewatch this. There's different things that the XRP banks are using. Some of these are only using a small part of XRP because XRP is like a tool. XRP Ledger is like a tool. So it might take some time to, also it gives like the opportunity for these banks to choose what they want to use. They don't have to use the whole XRP thing and then add things later on. OnePay, Forex for near instant cross-border transfers. Like this is going to save probably people billions, if not millions for the banks, for basically changing currencies. Real-time international payments, having fast bank transfers, just for some of them. I'm not going to go fully what they mean, but for example, sending money from a business to business, that's another thing that America wants to do. XRP already owns 10% of the stablecoins for business to business. They just made a $200 million deal. So again, something big is cooking.
112 billion, 77 billion. But there's already a lot of banks that are using XRP on a global scale with ridiculous valuations. We can see this one, 214 billion, American Express. Also, JP Morgan and Chase has adopted XRP into their payment systems, which is the largest bank in the world by asset size and also market cap. And JP Morgan and Chase manages over 3.6 trillion in total assets. Essentially, what's going to happen is all of these banks are going to incorporate XRP into their payment systems and replace SWIFT, which is going to cause XRP to go parabolic. And once this does occur, we can see XRP well beyond $10. We're talking 20, 30, 40. This is a long-term prediction. If you fast forward 5 years, it wouldn't be surprising. We already heard Brad Garlinghouse say that XRP will take over at least 14% of SWIFT platform. And if that occurs, we're already going to see XRP at $1 trillion market cap. And that is in the next 5 years. Also, another important thing that you want to look out for is the start of altcoin season, because I do predict it's going to happen really soon. This is a chart.
Rate cuts definitely help the altcoin season. We just heard about rate cuts today, so there's probably going to be more. September, nice month to be in crypto markets.
Of Bitcoin, it's a price analysis of Bitcoin of where it is currently headed based on all past previous cycles. So right now we're at a market high, and we're going to go up for a little bit longer. We're going to top out around 160K, and that's going to be around late October to late November. And once we see this huge drop off, which will occur, we're going to see the start of altcoin season. Essentially, everyone's going to take their money out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they're going to invest into very small, low cap altcoins, or just altcoins in general, such as XRP. And when that occurs, we can see XRP well beyond $10. So I think in the next 6 months, it is very possible and feasible for XRP to reach $10. And
$10 would definitely be nice. Who knows if it will happen though? $10, I would be happy, especially like Katie Wood going so bullish on this. $10 is not unlikely. It is going to be hard though. It is going to be hard because, you know, you never know crypto. It could dump at one point. But with all this productivity, you know, even $7, it's way more certain now with the lawsuit over. Let's talk about this secret, what they're hiding about BlackRock. This is another video I wanted to show you guys. I really love this one. SEC drops XRP case, doors open for banking and ETFs. This is the biggest partnerships in the US are now finally open. They were not open before because of the lawsuit, ongoing lawsuit. They couldn't do anything. They were just waiting for this lawsuit to be over. Again, banks did not want to work with them. They probably lost millions of dollars of revenue. The lawsuit cost $500 million. But with that over, we have a sky high ceiling.
SEC officially dropping their case on XRP. This has opened XRP to several doors in both banking and ETFs, specifically one company, and that is BlackRock. In this interview, Whitney Webb talks about BlackRock and Bitcoin, and I'm going to explain how all of this relates to XRP.
Like when the Fed printed a bunch of money during COVID and gave it to like BlackRock to manage, like was that incompetence? When they sort of get caught or start to get caught for something corrupt, they'll be like, oh, don't look any further. We're just really stupid, you know? But if you consider just like the massive amount of wealth transfer that's happened in the past 20 years to like the people at the very top, obviously, well, I think it's obvious, but I mean, that can't all have been because of incompetence. You know?
So there's a lot of shady things happening behind the scenes. BlackRock owns 3% of Bitcoin's total supply, and this is roughly 662,000 Bitcoins. That amount is more than MicroStrategy, owned by Michael Saylor, and they own about 600,000 Bitcoin.
They own 3% of Bitcoin because they're selling Bitcoin to the users. They don't own actually this Bitcoin. They hold it for other users. That's a big misconception that people have with BlackRock. They think BlackRock owns that. They don't own it. They get a fee for holding it. It's called an ETF. So just wanted to add this in for Sam. Obviously, he has great videos, but XRP, once they have an XRP ETF, they will be forced to buy so much XRP if BlackRock gets its own XRP. Again, if you want to sell someone through an ETF, you need to hold it. You need to hold it as a company. BlackRock needs to hold this XRP, and they also need to get it in a legitimate way by buying it, for example. So they will buy, for example, $100, $200 million of XRP so they can sell back to users. And this could go up to $1 billion if there's $1 billion of inflows.
The dollar amount of those 662,000 Bitcoin is about $87 billion. And this doesn't even include their Ethereum holdings, which is about $1 billion worth of Ethereum. And they also have $10 billion worth of Ethereum in assets. So this is huge for XRP for a couple reasons. XRP is essentially the third largest cryptocurrency, and it has a lot of volume and liquidity because it's used in peer-to-peer transaction, making it valuable to an ETF manager like BlackRock.
There's a similar effort in crypto and specifically with Bitcoin to criminalize mixers and criminalize any sort of service that affords you increased financial privacy. Where they want to...
I feel like that the big thing is right now, 2021 and 2016, it was all about privacy tokens, being private in crypto. They didn't realize most of the money for crypto comes from the regulation and government. Like 90% of the biggest money wealth transfer in crypto is going to be from the governments actually legalizing crypto by inviting all of these retail investors in to invest into crypto itself. So again, that's just my opinion, but it's very clear that what crypto is trying to be right now is basically be another stock market, which, you know, the original holders won't be happy, but it is what's going to increase the most value for crypto as well.
They're not just going to be like, let's do this now. I mean, people aren't going to go along with it. So they need some sort of event that gets people angry and afraid and panicking in order to stick it through. So basically, this is going to be folded into, I guess, what I would call a Cyber Patriot Act. The Patriot Act being the legislation pushed through in the U.S. after September 11th, 2001. Right. A lot of which wasn't necessarily related to anything to do with 9/11, but was a huge power grab by the state taking advantage opportunistically of the panic after 9/11. So they need some sort of event like that to ram all this stuff through. But the plans have been on the books for a very long time, and it's not just the US, it's really everywhere. I mean, I think in the UK you have something called like the Online Safety Bill. They'll say, oh, it's about protecting children. But really it's about ending encryption, which law enforcement in the UK and the US have been trying to do so hard for years and years and years. I mean, Bill Barr, who was Attorney General under Trump in the US, was like, that was his main policy goal, was to end encryption. And he talked about it all the time, but a lot of people didn't really pay attention, I guess. So in terms of what we're talking about with government, you know, regulation of the internet and all of this, it's coming, right? We're already seeing the first signs of it here. There's an obvious push to censor more speech and link people's speech to their ID and have it more surveillable than ever before. Gutting encryption, why do they want to do that? So they can read everything that you say and all your transactions, follow them all.
So really important what she just said here, a lot to unpack. We already know that BlackRock owns about 3% of Bitcoin's total supply. If BlackRock was to ever sell that 3% at once, it will result in Bitcoin dropping several percentages. The entire purpose of Bitcoin is to be decentralized and to allow the money to go to the people.
Now, this is what people don't understand. BlackRock will not sell. It's going to be the people who own BlackRock's ETFs that are going to be selling. And this can happen. Like if this has happened in 2021, like a lot of people sold and the price crashed. So XRP is the next target for accumulation. Like they're going to be buying XRP as soon as it lists for ETF. And I feel like with how much money they could be making, it is almost certain that BlackRock is coming in.
And I believe the next cryptocurrency that's going to be impacted by BlackRock is going to be XRP. For a long time, BlackRock stayed away from XRP because there was an ongoing battle with the SEC. And obviously, if you have a battle with the SEC, the largest asset manager is not going to invest in an ETF for Ripple, which is the company behind XRP. But now that's out the window, there's a huge possibility that they're going to try to accumulate a vast majority of XRP. And there's a huge incentive to do so because XRP has a lot of volume and liquidity because of the sheer amount of transactions that go through every day. At the end of the day, XRP's goal is to transform the banking system and get integrated into it and also be a global competitor in peer-to-peer transactions. This means that there will be a lot of volume in XRP.
And essentially
I fully agree. A lot of volume because that's once the Bitcoin dominance drops, XRP's volume is coming in. All of this money from Bitcoin will have to go somewhere.
seeing here is an effort to use technology to entrench that in unprecedented ways so that there's no more need to worry about the peasants revolting, right? I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. So as an example, you know, this push for a regulated internet and the end of online anonymity and all of that is directly related to the fact that it's a mathematical inevitability that our debt-based monetary system will collapse at some point, and that the banking system, particularly Wall Street and, you know, its global equivalents, have engaged in an unprecedented degree of malfeasance and corruption and insane financial gambling activities. And just like 2008, right? That's going to explode at some point. But in 2008, people knew it was the banks and they were mad at the banks, weren't they? So if you're the banks and you know that's going to happen again.
Let's just pause there for a second. So in 2008, the banking system failed. There's obviously a clear problem with the banking system. It has failed numerous times. It hasn't just failed once. It has happened time and time again. There's obviously a clear solution to this problem, which is XRP. When using the XRP platform, you no longer have to rely on the banks or any other platforms that the banks use, such as the SWIFT platform. When XRP is integrated into the banking system, it's XRP solely by itself. And it's not just going to be just one country that's using XRP. It's going to be globally. There's going to be countries all around the world that will be using XRP. And the probability of XRP failing is a lot lower than the banking system failing.
So this makes a lot of sense. Like, how can you compare, you know, obviously respect to Sam Trades, but the 2008 banking collapse failed because we gave so much loans that we shouldn't be giving. I don't understand how XRP would solve that. So what XRP solves right now is fast transfers, and the US government, you know, and all of that 2018 banking collapse is much more complicated than people might seem. It literally collapsed in a short version is because there were so many of these loans and credits that we couldn't repay, or the banks couldn't repay. So XRP couldn't solve anything from 2008. Even if XRP existed in 2008, you know, it would still crash regardless, because all XRP would do is make these transfers more simple. But if you guys have any different opinions about this, let me know down in the comments below. I definitely hope I'm wrong.
And I think it's obvious that BlackRock realizes this, and they're just waiting for the perfect opportunity to start accumulating XRP like they have done with Bitcoin and Ethereum.
BlackRock just realizes there's a lot of trading volume and money to be made. You know, they're already building on Ethereum for the real world assets. Why are they building real world assets? They know that digitalization is the future, and they can make money from it because everybody will want to buy a fraction of a something.
So if you're the banks and you know that's going to happen again, and you're in bed with the intelligence agencies and the government, or in the case of the US, you own the central bank, right? You don't want that to happen again. So how do you how do you find a way to blame somebody else for the financial system imploding? And when you bring the financial system back, what do these people, you know, people like Jamie Dimon and all these top bankers, like, what is their ideal scenario for like money and how people interact with and use money? Well, being able to grift as much as you want and take as much as you want from the people under you without them knowing or complaining, because I mean, that's what they've been doing for decades, right? Wall Street. So they want to keep doing that. They don't want to change their behavior. So they want to find a way to be able to steal from the underclass as much as possible without the underclass complaining or revolting, and control how they spend their money. And control their financial and other behavior so that they can maintain their place on the top. So what we're having is the engineering of a neo-feudal society where you have the small upper class and then a massive underclass that the upper class can manipulate and control and, you know, do whatever they want with as they see fit. And so that's what I think the ambition of a lot of these various initiatives we're seeing for unprecedented control and surveillance are aimed at. And the goal is to use technology, whether it's AI or any of these other emerging technologies, to be able to do that, because obviously there's so much more of us than there are of them. And so in order to scale what they want to scale...
Is that what happened with GameStop? Like, people bought the stock, literally. Like, same as happening with XRP. People want to be fully financially independent. They bought XRP.
To be able to deal with the huge difference in size between their class and our class, they feel like, you know, they need these emerging technologies. They need AI. And that's why I see AI as a largely negative thing, because the people that want to do this are the ones setting it up and programming it and deciding what its objectives are, you know.
So BlackRock has not filed for spot XRP ETF, but one thing that would not surprise me is if they are accumulating XRP privately. There's a lot.
I feel like if they're buying XRP privately, it's because they want to launch the XRP spot ETF. That's the main reason, because if they announce it, XRP, what's going to happen with XRP? It's going to go to $4. They're going to be forced to buy it at 25% more than before they announce it. At least in my opinion, it's going to go to $4, because if the biggest, you know, richest company announces they buy something, look what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So of course they can buy it for a bit cheaper at $1, $2, $3 instead of like announcing it and then buying it for the XRP ETF. As I told you guys, if you want to have an ETF as a company like BlackRock, you need to legally own this XRP. You need to have it in your bank or system or in a wallet, which XRP and ETFs need to do. They are fully regulated, you know. And that's why they could be secretly buying until they join other XRP ETFs.
To unpack in this interview here, and a lot of the statements that Whitney Webb made is massive. And essentially, it's a long game for XRP. As more and more investors realize the true value of XRP, they're eventually going to purchase it. And that's what we're starting to see this year. If you want to support my content or become a community.
So yeah, you get a pretty clear idea of what's going on. But yeah, BlackRock does not own 3% of Bitcoin. They could own XRP. They are holding it for the users. Maybe they're holding maybe 1% they have themselves, but that's a completely different thing right now. And you guys do the math. XRP just in, Trump
if you guys are
fired
holding XRP.
So look at this. This is definitely very big news that we have today for XRP.
Vibes. It looks like it did, but did it? It did.
So we're reaching all-time high for the crypto market cap. But there's also summary of Fed Powell's speech. So it is looking very good for the market, just as I predicted correctly, guys, that the markets right now are not doing bad. I don't think there was any indicator for XRP to do the bad. And this is good news for you, because this means that, you know, we're nothing near 2022 levels.
This is the summary. He said, shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting policy, suggests downside risks to employment are rising. Labor supply is softened in line with demand. Fed abandoning flexible average inflation targeting framework can't take stable inflation expectations for granted. He also said that risks in inflation are titled to the upside and risks to employment are titled to the downside. That's a long way to say stagflation. And he said risks now tilt towards jobs more than inflation. So basically what they are afraid now is if they do not start reducing interest rates, jobs is going to get out of hand and it might get into an area that they don't want it to get to. So they're less afraid about inflation, more afraid about the job market going to be very bad, right?
But right now the job market is all-time high. Isn't productivity at all-time high, and it's never been easier to get a job? So they're afraid that this will drop, not with the inflation itself. Weakening with the supply, labor supply. I guess, yeah, this is the thing right now. There was much more labor in 2021 than it was now.
Supply is weakening with demand. Fed scraps flexible average inflation targeting. Stable inflation exception no longer assumed and signals possible rate cut.
That's very likely. Like, I'm not too afraid of that. We have been kind of expecting all of this, but in this type of news, even if the jobs are getting, you know, potentially bad, it doesn't mean that this will happen. It just means they're trying to prevent that before it happens, just like taking medicine before you get sick, right? For example, like a preventive type of medicine is the same thing. They're trying to lower the rate cuts and do the possible rate cuts, and that will further grow the crypto markets, make more jobs by lowering these rate cuts, which is great news.
In September, and if we go and we take a look at the probabilities, there's one probability now at 91%. If we go and we look at investing.com, yesterday we were at 69% even. And now with the Fed remarks, it jumped all the way to 89.1% for a reduction. And that is what has the market pumping. This was, the sell-off that we've seen over the past few days was because of the anticipation that maybe the Fed chairman would say something regarding not reducing interest rates. And so people were reducing risk if he would say that. Like they were pre-selling the notion that maybe he would say something like that. But he didn't.
I feel like we all expected interest rate cuts, but this is pretty bullish news. There's always going to be something to improve in the market, but we have never been in the last 5 years this good in terms of market. And, with all the Crypto Bill Act, of all the great things, this is what really pushes XRP towards a greater price in here. So look at that.
With using leverage. Okay, very, very important. Again, link is in the description down below and also put it in the pinned comment. Also, just want to remind you that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me any money. If you're watching this on TikTok, it's not me, right? They keep uploading my videos to TikTok. It's not me. So don't, click any links or don't the Fed chairman, right? There were signs. There were one sign that actually, if you've been watching the past few days, there was a...
So 500 million liquidity injection. Again, this is a lot of money. Sent 500 million USDT to Binance. This means that $500 million could be like getting to buy.
That we talked about, the fact that Tether minted $1 billion worth of USDT. We talked about that, that the previous times that I've seen that, the market pumps after that. And we're seeing now another 500. Oh, sorry. I just had some barbecue. I was barbecuing and we had some barbecue. So the barbecue is coming up.
Again, guys, if XRP goes on the exchange, it usually means that the prices are going to go down because that means a big whale is ready to sell. But if stable coins go on the market, it could sometimes mean it's cashing out. But the most important factor is 90% of the time, it means they're putting the stable coins onto the market to buy crypto because that's how you buy it through these exchanges.
500 million liquidity injection. Tether Treasury just sent 500 million USDT to Binance. Fresh liquidity is flowing in. Is this the fuel for the next big pump? Right, and we can have a situation here where shorts get squeezed, especially on Ethereum. Holy smoke, is 268 million got liquidated from...
So a lot of people who are against the market now lost a lot of money because they were saying the market is going to go down. They got destroyed. And this could potentially signal right now the people who are getting long are getting, they're getting rewarded.
Ethereum, 57 on the long, 210 million on the short. For Bitcoin, it's also about 2 times more on the short. XRP, interesting, about 50-50 on the short and the long over the last 12 hours. So people got liquidated on the way down, and now they're getting liquidated on the way up as well. So it will be very interesting to see how high the market can go today. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this is a fake out, or is this the catalyst that sends us...
still 80% of people are saying that the market is going to go down. Isn't that what's happening in the last 4 hours? If we check last 24 hours, 64% of people are going short, are saying that the XRP price is going to go down. So you be the judge. Like, that is very scary, right?
The moon, right? Do we start breaking out? Do we see the banana zone start from here? Or is this just a fake out, right? Some more news, Canada to remove retaliatory tariffs on many U.S. products.
I'm not even afraid about the tariffs anymore. They don't affect the prices at all. They are literally probably helping the prices. Like, people were saying, oh, tariffs are going to destroy crypto. They're going to destroy everything. It's going to create a new recession. When Jerome Powell literally confirmed that the tariffs, are not that big of a problem right now, he confirmed it last session, like a month ago, that it was problematic. Now it's okay. That's a pretty good idea.
Reports. So again, good news. We're getting in the past few days a lot of good tariff news for the United States. And now Canada is going to remove the retaliatory tariffs. So again, positive news there for the US. We also had this very interesting, Brad Garlinghouse tweeted out after Stuart Alderati tweeted out this. He said, glad to be at the conference alongside all of these people talking about the post-Genius Act world, most important tenets of any market structure bill, and what it means to have a cohesive legislative and executive branch crypto strategy. Just a bunch of policy people in quite possibly one of the most beautiful event locations around where they were. I don't know, SALT conference. Where is that?
So yeah, it's pretty clear that Brad Garlinghouse is doing all these sorts of partnerships, and he's always somewhere. He's always doing something somewhere. It's pretty insane how Brad Garlinghouse, you know, goes ahead and is always... I feel like XRP has a huge network of friends and followers. Like, they built up last 13 years. That's why XRP went to $3. They just partnered up with Gemini. We didn't even know they had one of the biggest partnerships then.
To, you know, declare their, you know, coming out of the closet in public because they were afraid of maybe the backlash or what people would say. But now that it's become acceptable, we're seeing more and more people come out as pro-crypto. And it's very, very interesting, and it's very beautiful that we have this kind of situation right now. And we're seeing many people flipping, you know, from either being anti-crypto to pro-crypto. And it's just, you know, a change in policy, a change in the upper echelon, clarification, legislation, clarity. That's what people wanted. And once they have it, it's beautiful, and people...
That's the thing. Like, XRP has been pushing for clarity, and they've been basically inviting the government to make it fully Clarity Act. They don't want to be private. They want to go fully public. Even an IPO, initial public offering, just like, you know, Amazon went, just like Tesla, Reddit, all of these companies. That's the same thing that Ripple wants to follow. It wants to join the stock market, and that's where the big money is, the big sharks.
Are becoming pro-crypto, so it's beautiful to see. Someone that is very pro-crypto is President Trump, and we talked about the fact that he was going to fire one of the Fed chairmen, Fed governor. Says Fed governor and SEC chairman. It's confusing. Fed governor Lisa Cook, if she does not resign. Interesting. So
you're going to fire Lisa Cook, the Fed
we can't hear.
governor, over her mortgage fraud.
I can't hear. Technical difficulty time. But he said that, and so there's some investigation into her, right? So this is interesting. That's kind of weird.
Can you even fire someone that works at the Fed? I don't think so. Like, the Fed is its own autonomous thing, right? So you can't even be fired that way.
That's interesting. But in general, you had a conference. I didn't see anything on the conference around social media. Like I said, I was barbecuing, and I didn't see it affect the market too much. So I'm thinking that Trump either said bullish things or nothing to do with crypto. And that's why we initially had, once the Fed spoke, right, we had the initial pump, and then Trump was supposed to speak around here. And I guess he didn't say anything that was anti-crypto. So then we saw the crypto market continue to rise there. So,
I mean, just not because of Trump that the market's pumped. It's literally because we had so much good news after good news after good news.
It will be very interesting to see, what happens here. Freaky Friday, again, we can see, I warned about volatility, and we definitely saw the volatility. We saw, like I said, you saw XRP, there was 50-50 on liquidations, shorts and long. So we have to be very careful in this situation where the market is pumping. We could have big movements, very rapid movements. So just be careful out there. Again, if you're day trading, if you're swing trading, trade response.
Seems like this week, next week is going to be insane, especially September. It's going to be pretty much, all-time trading volume, retail coming back, Bitcoin dominance dropping, all of this good news overall for the markets.
In a long, long time. And that usually, when Bitcoin dominance starts collapsing, that's usually a sign for, what I'm going to say, out season. But we'll see. We have to wait and see what is potentially.
Like, alts have been literally destroyed except XRP and the US companies, which I have called. I don't feel like the alts, the altcoins are going to be big as 2021. Everybody's calling for alt season. I don't think it's going to be the big thing. I think the US government is going big on the US companies. I feel like that's always going to be the big plan for crypto. But 75 billion this week, 75 million is a pretty big number. What's happening with XRP? Look at that. 75 million. And I feel like a lot of whales actually bought XRP at this price point. Like even $3. It is kind of crazy to me that the whales are still buying at $3 because, it shows you that they are confident it's going to go up. A lot of the whales have been selling and cashing out, but a small minority of these whales are coming back.
You know, XRP has been very consistent as the week has progressed, and of course a consistent theme across the market has been some red. We've seen long leverage liquidations. We've seen some cooling in general in anticipation of Jerome Powell speaking today, which by the time this comes out, he will have spoke already. But what I will say here is we're seeing a little bit of profit taking in terms of XRP that we have not seen in a while. Now, what is interesting about this is this taking place usually leads us to some actual bounces happening, and I want to show you guys this. We're also seeing something else indicating a potential bounce for XRP here as well. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell, it's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content.
So yeah, the markets right now, XRP is trying to test new highs, basically.
Content live here on the channel. So XRP has just continued to ride this trend, this bottom of our right angle broadening descending wedge, and you guys can see that we tried to hold up right about our 50-day moving average. Didn't hold, unfortunately. We tried to bounce off of our 618 line, did not hold, unfortunately. So here we sit, just tapping the bottom of this. Now at some point, I'm convinced we're going to get a more aggressive move to the upside. I'm not saying that's today. I think
the issue with XRP right now, it cannot push to 3.66 yet. That's the big issue I'm seeing with it. It's trying to push for 3.66. It's not even close, you know, and it's fighting between the bears selling who bought XRP very cheap and the new buyers of XRP whales who want to buy big.
Now there's a lot of bearishness priced in for Jerome Powell speaking today, which is kind of odd because he does not tend to really leak anything or, you know, expose any of that sentiment or anything like that. He tends to play things pretty close to the vest. So I think the market is kind of overreacting to a big nothing burger. And I believe that next week is likely to be a lot better than this week. Now, this isn't a guarantee or financial advice or anything like that. I will say during this time, we have seen a lot of long leverage liquidations.
I feel like also this past 3 weeks or like 3 months is going to be more important than the last 9 months. At least historically speaking. These 3 months will be more important for XRP than the previous 9 months. So mark my words, guys, and I know I could be called crazy because XRP already went up so much. But again, this is going to be the most detrimental also for crypto for the next 3 years. It's going to set up crypto for the next 3 years.
Excuse me, taking place obviously for XRP and the crypto market in general. We can see right now there was actually $10.5 million worth of long leverage liquidations over the last 24 hours just on XRP alone. And what we're seeing is the shorts just continue to pile on top of this. We're now still at about
for crypto for the next 3 years.
Or I'm sorry, 6.5% imbalance to the short side. That has been a very recurring theme here. Now, what I will say is that XRP is also building a little bit. Oh, that's not the right button.
I feel like it's building up like its support level as well right now at these prices. Is that correct until it goes up? It's still building up to its support level on the people holding.
This would be a great spot for BTC to bounce. We're already seeing Ethereum trying to bounce here as well. And what, in fact, we're seeing are some signs that we may, in fact, see a bounce here. In fact, Ollie Charts is actually pointing to this TD sequential flipping to buy. That tends to be a good indicator of a bounce. So we'll see if that ends up holding up, if we can get a little bit of momentum here in terms of price. But something I wanted to show you guys for XRP is something that we do not see that often. And when we look at this weekly exchange flows for XRP, we are actually having a green week, meaning that we are seeing a lot of XRP flowing to exchanges. So for example, this week alone, we've seen $74 million worth of XRP flow back to exchanges. It is the first exchange inflow week we have seen since all the way back on March 16th. Now, excuse me, man, I have something in my throat. What we need to remember here is when we have these weeks of exchange inflows, they tend to turn into large outflow weeks following that. And the reason why is during this time when we get these dips, when we see these retracements in price, you see a lot of accumulation from whales and large entities in the space.
So yeah, the whales are selling because he's basically saying when the prices go up, the other prices also go down. But with the ETFs, this number of inflows is going to way increase potentially. You know, we're talking a lot about inflows. The outflows will potentially decrease because the whales are just like changing hands, right? So what's happening in the market right now is a lot of these whales are cashing out what they've been waiting for 3 years, you know, selling to others. And with the XRP ETFs, there's going to be a lot of new buyers potentially, just like what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you're going to see, you know, the major potential we're looking for is basically new investors coming in, the retail. This is what we've been waiting for XRP.
Then very heavily overblown. I think a lot of bearish sentiment has just kind of compounded and caused us to move down in terms of price. And eventually that loses steam because there are only so many people that are willing to unload their assets at this time. Most people are under the assumption that the top is not in. I'm one of those people. I don't think we're anywhere close to this yet. We have not seen.
At least the markets don't show we're at the top, so it's looking nice for sure. Like the markets are nowhere near the top, at least the market indicators, and that's what the U.S. government. If the U.S. government says there's nothing to be afraid of, we're bullish, then I'm gonna believe the U.S. government, and that's what the U.S. government is doing right now. It's being bullish on crypto. So XRP, incredible breaking news. Miles G posted another video, quick one. Feel like he's on vacation, but the most important factor is he's been right about XRP prices. And we are in fact seeing XRP changing forever, like in the next few weeks, like 4 weeks. It's going to be huge.
Jewel, today was literally the make or break for XRP and cryptos. And what took place was exactly as I mentioned. The market sold off. It's been panic selling because people are thinking Powell is going to be hawkish. And today he was actually surprisingly very dovish. And that's honestly extremely bullish for crypto. So
I feel like we all expected that the government is going to be like bullish. He also hinted at it that he's going to be bullish for, you know, the markets, but he wanted to be careful in case he doesn't cause a recession. That's the main factor, is he is afraid that if he goes full on bullish now, that another recession could happen, you know, even inflated one. So obviously Jerome Powell is going to be careful, but just seeing that he's now bullish on the market, he's saying still some things are bad, but they can be fixed. He basically wants to cut the rates, which would cause another market rally. It is the good news.
He's saying that they're most likely going to be cutting rates in September. And as
we don't know how many rates. Is it going to be 50 points, 25, or 75? That's the difference between XRP $4 and $5, in my opinion. Except if we get another big news.
Mentioned yesterday, the Fed futures is showing that it's a very high and likely chance. Even poly markets have increased their odds with a rate cut in September. So
it's pretty certain we're getting a rate cut like at this point.
That is very, very bullish. And what that means is now the market is risk on. The market was risk off because they were thinking the Fed wasn't going to cut rates and people were panic selling as a result. So now that the market has clarity that they are going to be cutting rates, guess what they're going to be doing now? The market is very, very, very bullish. This is a risk-on situation. As you can see right now, cryptos are up massively. Cryptos are God candling. Everything is recovering the dip very quickly because the reason why we sold off was manipulation, but primarily because people are afraid that they weren't going to cut rates based on PPI's data from last week, but that's actually not the case. The case is they are going to be cutting rates.
I mean, a lot of the whales kind of predicted, right, that we are going to be getting rate cuts. When he said, you know, the first time that he's afraid about the inflation is he wanted to check in back on us in September.
Inflation and everything is showing that they need to cut rates. So everything is very bullish. This is a risk-on scenario. And now that they're going to be cutting rates in September, the market is going to start pricing that in. When the market starts pricing that in, that's going to be injecting more liquidity into the market. So when they have more liquidity being injected into the markets, we're going to be seeing another leg higher for XRP and cryptocurrencies. So if you look at Bitcoin dominance right now, it is absolutely tanking. We are starting altcoin season now. I think that was the bottom of this whole pullback and correction, which has been kind of chopping around and going around this entire month. I think that was the bottom of this move. I think XRP is bottom for quite some time. I think altcoins are bottom for quite some time, and it's going to get absolutely crazy. Make sure you guys are a part of my private community.
So yeah, it kind of makes sense that XRP now with these rate cuts, it is bullish. So if you guys don't know, rate cuts are what really makes crypto pump back. It's what really changes the game for crypto. We haven't even been seeing rate cuts this year, and we pumped so much. We saw ETFs. That was the first factor. So there are two major indicators in September to October. September could be a bit bearish just because, you know, price history and historically the markets go down. Nobody knows for sure. But there is going to be another thing, and that is the rate cuts. These are going to be the biggest players. Guys, I'm going to be back later on. I'm going to go to the gym or do whatever. So if you guys want more content like this, be sure to check out my other videos on this channel. And I'll be streaming potentially later or tomorrow. So yeah, have some more videos to talk about. I'll leave the link in the description below. Love you all and see you guys soon. Need to do some stuff now. Been streaming for